God, that blast processing shredding is ridiculous. But okay, enough of the bullshit. Let's hopefully conclude the attachment grindiness shit to make local multiplayer the best I could possibly make it. Because I honestly don't think it's really worth grinding FMJ and extended mags. I die a lot anyway, so I honestly don't even give a shit. But regardless of the fact, let me just get the live chat window set up. It looks like the King's doing his babysitting gig, and whatever else is going on is whatever else is going on. And for those wondering, it's the Genesis version of the Judge Dredd video game. It's actually pretty good, but I'm inclined to think that the Super Nintendo version is probably the best of the versions. Even though there is technically an MS-DOS port, but it's kind of shitty. And getting to work on DOS box is kind of a bitch. So I'll do this for a little bit, then I'll do some GTA Online, because I want to sell my nightclub stuff before tomorrow. I got my loadout ready to go. For some reason I have two MG4s, so that's nice. So let's go ahead and switch it up. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got thermal with this, so I should be fine. Yeah, let's go and switch over to this. I might as well put bling on this, I guess. Just to be an asshole. Alright, well. Enough digression. Let's go ahead and hopefully finish this up. Got quite a bit to go with this, as with this. So I'll probably switch these two around and just hopefully have a good time. Alright. I made my party shit. Let's get into this shit. And of course the game decides to show this wonderful little thing on screen, which is amazing. Oh, but Call of Duty is the greatest game ever made, except when you can't play with people and unlock things for local multiplayer or let alone private matches, you can't enjoy the game, now can you? This is why these games, I mean, even since 2009, oh, if you play with people, you get the best out of it. No fucking game should be like that. It's just stupid. Like, you clearly bought the game to play it. Why do you have to be restricted to just playing it online? Or let alone whatever. It's just nonsense. Speaking of nonsense, I haven't seen too much of it today on the X-Twitter. I haven't really checked it out too much. I think Akuma's coming out for Street Fighter 6. I really don't give a shit. That game is dead to me. I haven't even played it. And I don't care to. If I get the game, I'm going to probably be playing it just for World Tour, and that's basically it, but it has to be secondhand, and it has to be at a bargain bin price. Yeah, basically. Like, I understand if you're generally excited for the game, but it's just like, when people defend it so fucking much, it's not even funny. Like, people even defended Street Fighter V when that was new, with the fight money system. Which would be valid, except you only get 50 fight money for winning matches, and you had to basically play 2,000 matches at least, since you only got 50 fight money for winning, and characters costed 100,000 zenny. Hell, Capcom even took out rewards for that shit. And speaking of shit, original Modern Warfare 2 is not working right now because the Xbox servers are kind of fucked, so you get to see me doing boring shit in GT Online because I hate myself. But even with Capcom bringing back World Tour, they kind of fumbled it, honestly. Or whatever goofy versus mode modifiers they have. Hell, it's not even the first fighting game to have that. I'm pretty sure Virtua Fighter had something like that. We can basically turn on special rules and shit, like sumo mode or whatever, so... I guess that's cool, but people aren't going to use it because they only care about online play. Which I think is dumb. Like, why can't there be a healthy balance of both? You know, it's kind of disgusting that a lot of great older games have terrible netcode, but then you have good games with great netcode, but barely any offline content to speak of. I don't know about you, but I really hate it when fighting games come out and they only really seem to focus on the online players and fuck anyone who wants to play it in an offline setting. Street Fighter V was extremely notorious with this. They could even added a mode like what Tekken did with its arcade mode, specifically with 5, 6, and Tag Tournament 2, where it's basically seemingly endless wave of opponents, except not survivor rules. So it's basically playing against continuous people and actually getting decent rewards for playing it. But no, the survival mode they had was atrocious. And even after all the updates, however, it was also atrocious. And in case you're wondering why I'm playing this cesspool game, even though it might go against my usual morals, you can at least play this in a solo session, i.e. invite only. And I know some people will play it, but can't be bothered to, so I'm kind of playing it just so that the rare chance I get to play with them, I'm kind of caught up. That is true, but even other games have kind of slacked off in that. I think the last complete fighting game we can think of is Mortal Kombat X, where they actually have the characters on the disc. Most of them nowadays, you basically get lucky if you even get a season pass with a voucher code or whatever. Even Fallout 4 Game of the Year Edition is just literally a repackaged game with the season pass included. I'm not even kidding. The only thing you might get is the patches if it's even on the disc. I've also read that they're actually going to be releasing, not releasing, excuse me, I'm being too generous. They're updating Starfield to run at 60 frames per second, even though, didn't Todd Howard say that having it run at 30 frames is a design choice or some shit? I find it extremely ironic. I'm not too bothered with the whole frame rate shit, but if he actually lied about that, that's really, really terrible. I'm not the biggest Bethesda fan in the world, and I do kind of like playing Fallout 3 just for that turn off your brain thing and just kind of enjoying the world or whatever, but I don't know. That's why I'm not really bothered to even watch or really see much discourse over the Fallout TV show, because even people who know way more about it than I do basically know that they retcon a lot of shit, and some people are in the middle of it. I don't know, I'm just not really bothered by it. I haven't even been craving Fallout, to be completely honest. And considering that I've only really played Fallout 3, people get kind of pissy if you don't play it with mods, because, you know, that's totally how a game works, is that you basically have to make it go against the game entirely. Which I'm not against the idea of mods, but if you're only able to play the game with, No. If you're not able to play the game without mods in the elitist, I cannot talk. Basically, you should at least be able to do one playthrough vanilla and then go crazy the next. You should at least get that one intended playthrough, I guess, if that makes sense. Like, if someone were to buy Fallout New Vegas, brand new, but then have to download a bunch of mods to get it to be playable, I think that's kind of dishonest. It also kind of low-key proves that the game has no merits if it requires mods to be playable. But that's just me, personally. If the game can stand on its own, it's, I'm not really fussed to download a bunch of mods since the base game is more than enjoyable for me, personally. But I don't know. It's kind of like a classic Doom, in a way. I enjoyed so much that I don't really need the mods per se, but I can understand the appeal of it, but I'm definitely not a brutal Doom fan. Kind of goes against what the gameplay's about. And the creator's kind of a known asshole. There's quite a bit of documentation on it. But yeah, with the bullshit that's going on with Fallout is kind of terrible, but honestly, I don't really have much interest in it. I honestly would rather find something to talk about within From Software or whatever, because I'm at least inclined to think that my criticism is more or less wanting From Software not to do the other bullshit people claim that others are doing, like milking their IPs to death, having complacent releases of games and shit, and other things. It's not just because I'm a hater. I've definitely played more than enough of the games to at least kind of know what I'm talking about. And I play it just like everyone else. The only difference is that I don't sink a million hours into it, but I think I play it more than most people even dare to ask or whatever. But seeing as you've been on the streams quite a bit, definitely know what's up, which is good. But anyway, I'm going to do this really quick. And hopefully Original Modern Warfare 2 works. I kind of want to get the rest of the standard attachments done. Oh yeah, Todd is definitely projecting with the mods for games like Fallout and stuff. He might even be a closeted furry since Skyrim has the stealth class with the... I forget what it's called, but one of the classes you play as a cat and it's really good at stealth or something. You never know. I do find it interesting, though, that one of the characters in Fallout 4 is actually voiced by the creator of Resident Evil. I forget his name, but apparently in the Japanese version, he voices one of the robots in, whatever the hell it's called. The first major city you go to that's not Megaton, but the stadium, whatever. He's the robot chef, apparently. I think that's kind of cool, actually. It's a cool little cameo, if you want to call it that. I'll give it that much props, but the only way I'm going to really get back into Fall is I can find a way to get the Doom and Quake stuff so I can pretend I'm playing a good Doom game. Because I can't stand modern Doom, and whatever news about Doom Year Zero is just going to be annoying and obnoxious. And if the so-called rumors are true that they're doing that to Quake, humanity is just basically doomed. Since the original Quake is just basically the same formula as Doom, except it was one of the first real 3D first-person shooters out there. Almost every shooter in existence at least has some credit given to Quake. It was kind of a big deal back then, but then it just kind of did its own thing, and for better or worse, with the third game having multiplayer-focused multiplayer, but also turned out to be one of the more unironically balanced ones of its time. Except for the BFG 10K, but even then it's only used in sparingly select levels, and I'm pretty sure there's more than enough options to change such things. I think that's what it's called, the BFG 10K. It's definitely a powerhouse, but it's very rare and limited for a reason. It's not just something that anyone can just pick up. It's one of those... Holy shit. Oh yeah, Turok 3. I actually know if there's some updates for that game. I don't know if they're any significant, though. I haven't touched it in a while, honestly. It is kind of cool you can unlock the ability to play as the Raptor, and even having the correct sound effects that restore the I Am Turok line, since even Iguana Entertainment back in the day, I almost said Acclaim, they kind of half-assed the ability to play as Joshua, I want to say. I think Joseph is the younger one, and Danielle is the sister. I do think it's kind of cool with how playing as a different characters have different paths, but it's so minimal that it doesn't really make much of a difference. I can also definitely tell that Night Dive tried to make it a bit more interesting, but with the high price of it and just having the multiplayer removed is a definite sin in my opinion. They did what they could, but I still think them charging more money for removed content is really shitty. And people got to make a case about that, which I think is dumb. But I guess they're updating the game to make it more playable, I think. I haven't looked too much into it. But speaking of shooters, apparently I think there's supposed to be a collab with Fallout and Call of Duty, because they totally got to ride the hype train. And that there's supposed to be some conference, I think, for Xbox. I'm not really into that. The only game I'm generally interested in right now is that Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds remaster, and no, it's not Players Unknown Battlegrounds. It's a really decent beat-em-up that's not as good as Scout Pilgrim, but I think stands on its own. It plays like a fighting game / beat-em-up hybrid. It got delisted a while ago, and there hasn't been any news about the remaster, which kind of sucks. And kind of shitty too, in my opinion, since you'd think that around the time the other versions would be delisted, that you would at least be able to play the newer one at least, but whatever. At least the Raptor kind of makes it interesting, but I believe to beat the game on Oblivion difficulty, which is annoying, but not the hardest thing to do, I guess. I don't think it has traditional saving, though. I think it just has you loading from the last checkpoint, I think. Kind of like in Turok 3, I think. Even the original, too, actually. There wasn't like a manual saving system. It was just loading from last checkpoint, like a lot of games. Oh yeah, I don't know what the exact patch notes are. I think they changed some of the weapon balancing, but nothing to write home about personally. But I definitely do feel kind of stupid knowing that when I made my original video that I mentioned that they took out the cheat codes, when in actuality they just removed the passwords to the cheat codes, which is still kind of dumb. But I definitely should have not did that. I should have kind of looked into it before shooting the gun. But I guess it kind of makes sense, but I don't know, it's... I guess if people like it, I mean, it's great that it's finally out of the Nintendo 64 era, but the fact that Night Dive is charging a lot more for less is kind of the main draw point, honestly. I mean, hell, even you said that you liked the game, which is cool. I personally prefer the original Turok, but... you know, agree to disagree. But the main issue I have was that they basically moved a third of the game, which is extremely disrespectful. Even Call of Duty isn't free of that, because when they did Modern Warfare 2, they only added the campaign for the best game in the series, as far as people are concerned. But then people get pissy with Black Ops 4 removing the campaign, but then they say, oh, well, nobody plays the campaign except apparently there's going to be a Black Ops 5, which wasn't that supposed to be Cold War? I don't even know. Like I said, I have no interest in that stuff. It's not going to be the same shit as before. There's even people saying that it's going to revive Call of Duty, even though people literally say that every year. So it's like the boy who cried wolf at this point, which is just absurd. You know, it's, I'm mainly annoyed with those games because you can't even play them offline, which I think is dumb. You have to make an Activision account. And I think the last game to actually do that was, or at least the last Call of Duty game we can actually play offline was World War II, actually, which is why I kind of call it the alpha and omega of the series, because you can basically, well, It started as a ground on, where the hell do they call it? On ground boots shooter, and it ended as such. Yeah, the Turok 2008 game wasn't really that good, honestly. The only thing I really liked about it was that weapon that's like the plasma rifle, but actually showed your ammo count, and the turret that can also act as a personal minigun. I really wish that type of weapon was in other games. The only other good thing it's got going for it is that you have the dude who voiced Slade in Teen Titan as one of your comrades, and of course, Christopher Judge is a minor character in the story, at least. I forget the actor's name, but if you watched Teen Titans back in the day, you definitely recognize the voice. He's kind of an asshole to Turok as well. He basically takes away the shotgun that he finds. Like, no, Turok, this is my shotgun. Fuck you. And it sucks too, since I clearly remember the shotgun being somewhat useful, since it can basically shoot out a flare that distracts the dinosaurs, so he's just kind of a bitch. At least can kind of dual wield certain weapons though, but the weapon limitation completely goes against the Turok formula entirely. Like, it would be cool if other games did that sort of thing, where you technically had a 2-weapon wheel limit, but you can at least dual wield the guns you had, but it's a Turok game. I think even the original Turok, they have to explain how Tal Sec can basically have so many weapons at once, and it's some really ridiculous explanation, but it works, I guess. It definitely had cool ideas, but it definitely fumbled a lot.
Hello, this is Pegasus Lifestyle Management. How can I help?
I like how Mule is listed twice. Is it not on? Oh, here we go. Service vehicles. Okay. I just want to see what this thing is like, personally. It's definitely not worth buying it, but just for fucking around. Because I know people who have this on Xbox and not on PlayStation, so I'm kind of, literally dumping my money on whatever and just hopefully having a little bit of fun. But I'm going to get back to Modern Warfare 2 after this, because I want to try to get the rest of the weapon attachments. In case you're wondering, no, I'm not looking forward to GTA 6. Rockstar is not going to learn their lesson. I know it seems kind of dumb that I'm playing this one specifically, but I have my reasons for doing so, and not to mention that, at least in this one, unlike in Red Dead Online, you can technically play it by yourself. So, I'm not really too bothered by playing it, especially if I know people actually have it, but refuse to play it. You know what's funny, though? People defend Turok 2 like it's one of the greatest games of all time, which it would be fine, except it's a first-person shooter on a console that has a horrible controller, and it has really ass level designs. Like, I know Turok 1 kind of had shitty level design and backtracking, but it wasn't anywhere nearly as punishing compared to Turok 1, honestly. Like, yeah, there was some really dumb things in Turok 1, but it is ridiculously nice compared to Turok 2. And I think someone brought up how the PC version had a quick save system, which goes against the original design of Turok 2, but then you literally have it in the remaster, and there's even an option that literally tells you where to go, because the level design is just that ass and gravy, and not the good kind, like this actual dump right here. And yes, I bought this thing. I hear this thing is quite the meme material. And it's only yours for $1 million. I know, it cannot stop the train, but people have certainly tried. If there is one vehicle I do want to get in this game, though, at some point, is a Cerberus, because it's basically an oil tanker with a flamethrower on top of it, and it gives me so much Twisted Metal Black vibes, it's not even funny. Anyway, hello, Prophecy Zach. Hopefully your day is going well. Let's see if I can get into some Call of Duty. because I was trying to do that. And yes, I'm playing on wired connection now, so yep. No wonder why my matches are so good. Although I still... Well, at least you can have fun in the dump truck, so... And it's expendable. Yeah, that's another thing. Turok 3 was... Turok 3's level design was incredibly linear, but at least it was not too bad. Except for, like, the half part of the game. And oh my god, this stupid error. Amazing. Unfortunately, the only way to fix this is to literally restart the console, so you get to enjoy my horrible guy avatar with the nameplate, so that's good. It's like, I get that Turok 2 was trying to be very ambitious, but still, it's a console shooter on Nintendo 64, and I know that people like to give Perfect Dark a bit of crap for that, but at least Perfect Dark was actually designed by competent people. Like, yeah, it sucks that you need the memory pack, but even without it, you could still play the multiplayer without it, and it was a lot more advanced than GoldenEye. The only thing that sucked is that a lot of the gameplay was locked to that. I guess it's more than I could say about Majora's Mask, which I'm still not really the biggest fan of. And no amount of mansplaining will convince me to play it, because last I checked, Zelda was known for its exploration, and adding a time limit no matter how much you can bypass it is just dumb design to me. I think I mentioned last time someone got on my case for it. It's a skill issue. The same skills you like to bring up whenever games like Doom or Dark Souls or Ultra Kill is concerned. And it's not just a niche complaint, by the way. It also doesn't help that the game was locked to the expansion pack. I said memory pack before, I'm sorry. It was locked to the expansion pack, and even the GameCube re-release that only included Ocarina of Time, because there's actually two versions of the Zelda collection. One with the other NES games, and Ocarina of Time, but there's another version which had Ocarina of Time, and I think the Master Quest for that game, as well as Majora's Mask, but I'm pretty sure there was quite a bit of shenanigans going on with that version of the game, so nobody really won in the end. And unfortunately, Modern Warfare 2 is not working right now, so you get to see me do horribly in Infinite Warfare Zombies, so I hope you have fun with that. Like, I legit want to play it, but for some reason, it's the Xbox error code is just not letting me play it. And it's been like that with a lot of games, too, so at least you get to see me talk about Infinite Warfare Zombies, which I guess is okay, but it kind of doesn't really make sense. So, and no, Prophecy Zach, do not join my session. I'm trying to level up for other sessions in which I can level up. Yeah, Perfect Dark is definitely a more evolved version of it, but it wasn't nearly as accessible compared to GoldenEye. Hell, even GoldenEye's multiplayer was really known to be a last-minute addition, which turned out to be lightning in a bottle. Which is bizarre, considering that Time Splitters is an even more evolved version of that, but I mentioned how Jarek the Gaming Dragon, the channel I used to watch, I think he did a top 10 best shooters of all time, and he put Doom Eternal at number 1, and I think Time Splitters in number 7. And all the praise that he's given for that game, the only major complaint that he had of it is that it's only on a controller, or unless you're using Dolphin's mouse and keyboard injector. With all the endless replay value that Time Splitter has, I think it's objectively more replayable than Doom Eternal. I'm sorry. That was when I stopped watching him, honestly. It's not just because I'm like biased with modern Doom, but it's like, how the hell can you cite a game like Time Splitters way lower on the list compared to a game that has barely any replay value? Like, Doom Eternal isn't even like Devil May Cry. We can get, like, scores and shit, which is ironic, because Doom 2016 actually had a mode for exactly that. And even playing the master levels is dumb, because if your game crashes and you quit to main menu, you have to literally do the entire level all over again, because there's no saving system, so you can just play it another time. Hell, even modern Doom's checkpoint system's a complete whack. Like, if you're playing a regular campaign save and you quit to main menu, you go back to the last checkpoint. But if you're really playing from level select and you, for some reason, quit to the main menu or if your game crashes, you basically start the whole level over again. I mean, what the hell kind of shit is that? What other game does that? Makes no sense. Anyway, speaking of making no sense, I want someone to explain to me how the M1 is the only Call of Duty gun that I've ever seen that literally has no manual reloading. In a game that's supposed to be based on futuristic settings post Black Ops 3, and yet there's a classic lineup of weapons in the game, and yet the M1 is the only gun in the game, let alone in Call of Duty, that you cannot manually reload, when every other Call of Duty game, let alone any other shooter worth a damn, lets you manually reload a gun after firing it the first time. Like, what the hell? What other Call of Duty game, besides this one, and not counting the ones after it, has a gun that does not allow you to reload manually after firing it? I think Prophecy Zach tried to give me an answer on that, but I still think it's incredibly stupid. Also, the drop rates suck dick. Like, legit. It either might be my horrendous luck, but I have absolutely no luck with the drops in this. Anyway, not to ignore your comment, Prophet, but I believe that there's going to be a Fallout collab, and I don't know if I mentioned this, but apparently one of the data miners or whatever mentioned there's going to be a Gundam collab or something. So we actually get to see Gundam in a Call of Duty game, which is ridiculous. It honestly really isn't. Like, the only thing I really give Modern Doom credit for is that as a single-player first-person shooter, it does a lot more than what Call of Duty has done, but that doesn't mean that the gameplay is better than anything else that's came out before it. I'd even incline to say that Rage 2 is a better take on it, and I believe that came out before Doom Eternal. And yeah, I'm being kind of serious. Yeah, it's an open-world game, but if people like the combat so much, who gives a shit? It's kind of like with the Arkham games, where you have a sandbox to play in, but there's also the challenge maps where to get more bang out of your buck. And it wouldn't really be so bad if people didn't, like, suck the dick of the game like it's the greatest thing of all time and fuck you if you criticize it. Like with Dark Souls or Shadow Colossus or whatever modern game has came out or whatever. You can't even really compare it to a fighting game because it's not even a proper PvP mode. At least Doom 2016 had regular deathmatch in other modes, just codified with its archaic progression. Just like Modern Warfare 2, I'm not even kidding. At least the matchmaking, I think, is not as bad because it wasn't skill-based matchmaking. It was just, I think it dumped you into whatever lobby there was, and as long as people didn't leave, whatever, you could play until you left or something. So, I'll give it that. But they basically tried to codify Doom in a way, in a really weird hybrid. Like, you could basically have a loadout with the Super Shotgun and rocket launcher, but you still had to find weapon. You still had to find ammo for your weapons. Which kind of reminds me of a bastardized version of what Rage Wars did, except the weapon balance was a hell of a lot more interesting. And the super weapons were locked to spawns or whatever. And even one of the perks or whatever the hell it was called basically showed you an internal cooldown. So basically people would legitimately camp near those spawns. Yeah, if they remake Quake, it's gonna basically get the same dick-sucking treatment. And if it's not Doom or Quake, they're gonna gaslight into thinking that it is Doom or Quake, like what Armored Core 6 was. Even to the point that the Armored Core developers or whatever basically had to say that it's not a Dark Souls game in the same way that fucking Cello Blade isn't a Souls game, but it just has some elements to it. It's just dumb, personally. at least not Elden Ring now. At least From Software actually made Armored Core 6. It's just a shame that the fans who only played Dark Souls just now literally bandwagon Armored Core and act like they played the game since the beginning of time. But I'll digress on that one. The only Armored Core game I really played extensively was the Master Arena, because I actually bought the PlayStation 1 copy, and Armored Core 4, the original version, because it actually has a 2-player battle mode. But I haven't played much of them, unfortunately. Recently looked up into Armored Core. There's apparently a thing where if you played all 3 games in order, you could basically transfer your save to one version to another. You can basically get exclusive unlocks, which is interesting. So you're basically continuing your character into a whole new experience. That's pretty interesting. But I can't say that I'm like a big Armored Core fan. Like the only thing I really know about Armored Core is that it actually had a competitive scene at the time, and that there was like tips and tricks articles for what builds people use. Which, as with Dark Souls, Armored Core does have a surprisingly decent number of builds. But the difference is you don't need to play against people to get the fun out of it. And I'm pretty sure that Master Arena was basically a full-on fighting people in arena, whatever. It also had way more depth too, besides just being a game made to annoy you. I also really wish that the final boss for the Doom Eternal Tekken Tag Tournament 2 DLC is that you actually fought the boss a la like an actual AI bot, like of how Dusk did it. We actually fought the essentially essentially a CPU version of your own character, whatever. Considering that Doom is all about that movement and shit, and yet you got a really shitty version of the Marauder, which is already annoying. And I think even developers are basically touting that really old Looney Tunes cartoon where the dude was like, if there's one thing I hate more than one rabbit, is two rabbits. So they basically tried to double down on it, and it was a fucking joke, unless you're just horrible at the game. But it was just dumb. At least it gives some credit, though. At least Doom Eternal's DLCs are standalone, but why the hell would you buy a standalone Doom Eternal DLC when there's literally only 3 levels? At least Final Doom had 32 times 2, because you got both Plutonia and Final Doom TNT. Now, obviously, yes, there's some questionable level design in both, but you're still getting twice the Doom 2. And at least they mix up the music a little bit, so it's not a complete one-for-one re-release of Doom 2. And yeah, I know there's some controversy, particularly with TNT Evolution, but it's the best you can really do is just hope to learn from history, because I think some people have been trying to use that shit with Celeblade and how, oh, but did you know that on the Nintendo Wii that No More Heroes was censored in Japan but not in America or some dumb shit? It's like, yeah, we get it. I'm actually curious if Armored Core is kind of like Zone of the Enders, where it kind of feels like Dragon Ball Z, but with robots and shit. And a lot of fucking dialogue. Which, speaking of older game IPs, apparently Front Mission 2 remake got released. I don't know if it's worth my time, honestly. Saw a review of Dark Lord Jada 1 talking about the Left Alive, which is honestly kind of a bait and switch, because the dude who basically designed the artwork for Metal Gear Solid got contracted by Square to basically make art for the game, and people think it'll be a really cool-ass game, but they basically turned a series about controlling mechs and a turn-based strategy into a third-person game that literally has the thing of other games. It can basically go into New Game Plus and acquire perks, whatever, some shit. It has a really shitty development history. Alright, I finally got the shotgun. Probably gonna die, though. Wow. I should have definitely gotten the self-revive. I'll keep going until I get to level 16. I don't really like playing this in long term because I'm just not really a fan of this, would people consider Call of Duty Zombies a roguelike, or whatever the hell to call it? Sure, you don't have randomized equipment, but you basically have to use with whatever you got. You gotta basically do this over and over again. I just don't really think that's fun. If you could at least customize the game to make it more interesting, I definitely would see the appeal of it, but Time Splitters definitely did this sort of wave-based survival thing way more interesting. And hell, actually, even in Time Splitters 2, it had much more interesting gameplay. With the first level of the series, essentially, you're stuck in a specific part of a multiplayer map, using only shotguns, in which the game is there just to give you ammo for it. The second one, I believe, is the one where in the circus, and you have to use the combination of extinguishing yourself with the fire extinguisher, because yes, it's an actual weapon in Time Splitters too. And what the hell is it? And I think the third one is based on the Siberia story mission, except you don't have any weapons, so it kind of gets intense. I haven't really played much of Killing Floor 2, unfortunately. I know that it's interesting, but it's mainly this, but on a much more evolved level, and yet Call of Duty has hardly really evolved this type of formula, except with maybe World War II, and that's if you're being extremely generous. At least the way that I see it, personally. Like, yeah, you can't board up windows, but you actually have a meter that builds up over time, I think, and that you can, like, use... The classes have different abilities to make it more interesting. One of them basically gives you a buffed up infinite ammo version of what you would get normally from packing the weapon, which is kind of cool. You can fire fast. You can actually drop points, so if someone needs a couple hundred or whatever, you can do that, which I think is... How the hell is this not added in other games is a mystery to me. There's actual objectives on screen, which for the longest time, people who play these games are only able to comprehend Easter eggs. I fucking can't say the name of that, by the way. Usually I think of an Easter egg, I think, like, you know, like a little cameo or whatever, like with, you know, San Andreas referencing Tanner, because back then Rockstar and Infro Games kind of like had a little feud thing, where GTA 3 had a mission where you had to kill a dude who looked like John Tanner, and yeah, I'm calling him John, you know, Driver San Francisco. And he used the model from Driver 2, but he has a female animation, female walking animation, because even the mission giver basically describes him as a dude who walks really funny and stuff, or even finding like a hidden room. Even in Saints Row 4 actually is a really unique weapon I never found for the longest time, because I didn't think it would be that interesting. It was on the wiki one day. It's like, oh shit. But no, Easter eggs to kids these days, it's like, oh, you gotta shoot this 5 times and do this 10 times and stuff. It's not a fucking Easter egg. Like, that's really stupid. Like, no offense, but I just think that's really fucking stupid. Makes my blood boil every time I hear a content creator who mainly focuses on Call of Duty saying that this Easter egg in Kino der Toten is... This is how you get the Easter egg. It's like, dude, no, it's not a fucking Easter egg. No, it's not. It's just fucking stupid. But at least Killing Floor 2 is on console. I don't know how well it would run, though, but I kind of wish I had, like, an actual, campaign, per se, because it actually is a decent amount of gunplay for it, but I think it's only just the wave-based survival stuff. Which, if you could at least customize your playstyle, that would be kind of cool, but I don't know. Maybe the closest thing to a shooter I might try is Chipang 2, and maybe Maximum Action, but I don't know how well those would run in particular. Yeah, I also really liked with the melee animation with the zombies in it, so it definitely felt a lot more satisfying even with the shovel. In this one, you just... What the hell is that? I could put up World War II right now and get much more gasms using the shovel on them, so... But of course, it being modern day video game design, they have to take out all forms of swastikas, even though it is literally World War II Nazi zombies. I'm not getting into that shit, but it's whatever. I'm not gonna get on such political stuff because I don't think it's worth the tangent drive, honestly. But I think we all know what's going on with that. But trying to be as actually fair as possible, at least World War II zombies try to do something interesting. But because people look at the base stuff, it's like, oh, this is fucking stupid. Well, at least I don't buy into that stuff every freaking year like most people. But I guess talking about this game in particular, since I've been playing it for a while, it's more or less the same. You can probably see that the card system on the bottom right. It's really weird because it's like you have to fill up at getting kills, which makes sense, but the abilities kind of suck. The only one that's remotely useful is the one you can basically spawn a carpenter, which basically fills up the borders and stuff. There's other ones where it gives you a random fate or fortune card, which is complete RNG if you get a good one or not. There's another one supposed to make your melee attacks more useful, I guess. Even though the actual meleeness is actually terrible. And I've barely gotten any instant kills, so I can't even show how useful it is. The range on him is complete crap. I know that Call of Duty Zombies is known to have the most wonderful range in the world, but this one is by far the lowest of the low. There's also a DJ that apparently plays 80s rock and roll music, even though Call of Duty is basically catered to kids now, so how the fuck does that work? Speaking of what the fuck, this game has a zombies mode, but the game is based on the future. Yeah, try making sense out of that. And I'm also using a weapon that you're not allowed to reload unless you completely drain the bullets in the chamber. Like, what other shooter does that for a standard weapon in a game? I'm just not completely rocking it, honestly. I just do not get it. It's not even, like, overpowered or anything, at least I don't think it is. I haven't really touched the PvP because, quite frankly, at least in this game and others, like I mentioned, you can use everything from the get-go in private matches. You can do... I actually recorded footage for this, actually, in one of my other videos. You can do matches against bots. It actually adds Terminal, which is kind of cool. A futuristic take on Terminal, which is interesting, even though they Infinity Ward basically made it DLC, which is whatever. It's Modern Warfare 3 was my last Call of Duty. Well, at least back then. I'm only really playing this now because, you know, I know people who play this and I gotta keep up or else I'll be left behind like The Last of Us, but I'm not gonna really get into that, but... The progression in Zombies is really dumb, especially with Black Ops 3 to a point, because it's like... You can't level up the Shiva, or I think that's how you say it, until you get to a certain point. Nice Windows sound, Windows, thank you. I don't know if it's drive disconnecting or not, but at least it wasn't the actual footage, but... I think it might have been the way I organized my hard drive, because actually... Oh! I got an axe. It takes up a weapon slot? Are you actually kidding me? You can't even, like, throw it, which is dumb. It actually takes up a weapon slot. Wow. Now, if this were Call of Duty World War II, you would see, like, actual animations of your dude, like, chopping down the Nazi zombies, so it was kind of useful for that. But in this game, it's just... whatever. But even after playing Black Ops 2, I honestly don't really see the hype of it. Like, people only play on Nuketown, but then they get pissy with the proximity mine, which is ironic because I'm such a fan of GoldenEye that anything that has proximity mines in it is an automatic win to me. Everyone only plays on Nuketown. There's a shotgun in that game that reloads like it's in Doom 3, but yet people complain about the Doom 3 shotgun reloading 2 shells at once. I think it's fucking stupid. Which I will agree that Doom 3 having such things is kind of dumb, but people have to remember that it's not meant to be like the older Doom games in mind. Like, this isn't some Blood to Blood 2 sort of thing, or even with Ion Fury compared to Phantom Fury. Like, if it was trying to be like the classic games, then sure, but it's like... That's why people basically remade Doom, and I think there's even a mod that removes the reloading mechanic in general. Like, it's not trying to be like the classic games. And even without that, it can still stand on its own, so fuck it. Also, who is going to be dumb enough to reload during the middle of a fight anyway? And also, why complain if you're getting more for less? People are stupid when they criticize that game. Oh, and apparently the M1 counts as a sniper for some reason. And if you're wondering why you have thermal compared to any other scope in the game, it's because, well, considering that the game literally shows you where the zombies are in ADS, it's pretty much a no-brainer to me at least, so that's why I kind of use it in anything else, but I guess to give this game credit, you could at least attach an optic of your choosing, and the more you load up the gun, the more attachments you put on it at once. It's not that you have to reach level 1 to unlock this and level 2 to unlock that. You can basically rock with anything, but if you want to use more attachments, you have to level up the gun, which I guess is a decent compromise, although you can actually attach suppressor, which makes no sense, because last I checked, there doesn't seem to be any exclusive buffs for having a silenced weapon when you're shooting against zombies. As much as I have absolutely no interest in playing the modern COD games in the long run, considering that the modern COD zombies is basically like Borderlands or whatever, at least attaching a suppressor actually has a seemingly useful effect that goes with the design of the game. So I kind of don't get why you can even add suppressors to a game where it doesn't have any practical use. I hate to use the Metal Gear term, but it literally has no tactical advantage. I also really hate the boss of this. I think it comes around the 10s wave. But basically it's this giant zombie dude who shoots lasers from his eyes or whatever. And you gotta basically wear him down until he takes off his helmet. I think you have to do this twice to make him stop shooting his lasers, because for some reason his helmet lets him shoot lasers. I think it's hit scan or something, which is annoying. I have no idea what the goggles do, but apparently make your vision black and white. I have no idea what the hell this is. I kind of liked Ion Fury, but I only bought it on the Switch because it's kind of pointless to buy it on PlayStation or Xbox unless you don't have it. And also because it at least is a single-player game, so you can kind of take it with you on the go. And I'm also pretty sure it actually has a gyro aiming, which I don't know why more systems don't have that sort of thing. It's probably the closest you're going to get to mouse and keyboard aiming, but whatever. And there's apparently an infinite ammo perk, which is ridiculous, but whatever. But speaking of PC to console releases, I am really annoyed that they did not include the multiplayer for Dusk on Switch. And I think it's only been released on Switch so far. It's like, I was really annoyed when Turok 2 did not include the multiplayer for Switch, and I'm certainly not going to let go of a developer who's made a great game not include a multiplayer mode for the Switch. I don't know, it seems really dumb to me, honestly. But it's also really dumb, not to derail the topic on hand, is that if you buy the cards, this thing, that fill your card deck, it'll deactivate all the cards, and it'll also reset the meter, too. So you basically can't even use it until you've literally exhausted all your options. So, and apparently the prices go up by double when you use it, so that's good. You have a meter that builds up really slowly, and the abilities kind of suck. I've only found maybe 1 or 2 that's actually useful, but you have to have at least 5 equipped. So, that's just amazing. speaking of 3D Realms, I find it really ironic that people are for Remedy remaking Max Payne, even though the dude who voiced Max Payne died. Which, first of all, how the hell are they going to recapture Max Payne's voice actor? And second of all, I'm pretty sure Max Payne is more than playable on modern systems, or let alone PC, so why remake something that does not need to be remade? I've said it with Resident Evil 4 and even Dead Space or other games. Why bother remaking a game that doesn't really need to be remade? I don't even like Resident Evil 4, but why the hell would you need to why the hell would you want to remake that game to begin with? Or even Final Fantasy VII. You can practically play the original Final Fantasy VII on modern systems. You don't need to worry about buying 3 cartridges or some shit. Or whatever if they did a physical release. You could practically get more bang out of your buck buying the PlayStation 4 version of the original Final Fantasy VII than spending $60+ on Final Fantasy VII, whatever the hell it's called. Yeah, it's, people think that AAA companies are the bane of existence, but even these companies that you mentioned are kind of falling out of grace, too, so it's not just evil Activision or Blizzard or whatever. It's, it kind of hits harder than you think, actually. Hell, there's even games on itch.io that claim to be free to download, but you have to, you know, a non-commercial version of a game, but yet you have to subscribe to someone's Patreon to get the most out of it. And even the games on Patreon aren't even fucking finished. So you're basically paying for an early access game, which I hate that, by the way. It's just basically an excuse for people to dump whatever and then just expect it to be ready if they even feel like releasing it. Which is fucking stupid, by the way. Hell, I think there's even some games on itch.io that, like, you get a free version that's outdated, and then you have to subscribe to get an updated version that's still not even finished. Like, what the fuck? But yet people think that AAA game companies are the only ones that are screwing people over. Like, wasn't Nicholas, like, one of the main companies that screwed over Cave Story, whatever? Like, people practically compared him to, like, Activision as far as publishing goes or whatever. It's ridiculous. Yeah, that is true. Or just speak with your wallet, or if you absolutely have to buy it without giving them money, just buy it secondhand. Like, I mentioned in my Celeblade video that people are like, I'm not going to buy this game for one console, but yet people have literally done that for most games, or if not, even games then and now. Like I mentioned, I bought a PS4 for games like Blaze Blue, Chrono Phantasm Extend, because it was going to be on the PS4 and I really wanted it. Or Demon Souls for PS5. And I even bought Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo Switch, because obviously it was the main reason why to buy a Nintendo system is because of Smash Brothers. Though after how fucking terrible Smash Bros. Wants to be with DLC, I don't know if that's going to be the case anymore. But it's like, people legit do that thing, but now they say it's a bad thing to do that, even though people have done that at some point. Hell, people probably done the opposite and bought and upgraded the PC just to buy that one game or whatever on Steam or whatever people use on their storefront. It's like, and it always goes back to how people legit made the exception with games like Bloodborne. It's like, yeah, if you like the game, that's one thing, but it's like, the game is literally a game that's only on PS4 and performs terribly and has the same red flags that people use for modern releases. Like, I started to see the energy with Bloodborne, even though it's whatever, but I just think it's fucking dumb that people give that an exception when it might be a game that is made by From Software and people are fans of it, but it doesn't change the fact that Bloodborne is checking all the flags that people hate in modern releases. I just think that's fucking stupid and very hypocritical, as a matter of fact. It's not even my bias of the game anymore, it's just that people are literally turning a blind eye because of a developer or whatever. Hell, From Software don't even make many good PC ports, which is fucking ironic considering that Dark Souls 3, of all games, had that notorious hacker situation that caused all the servers to go down for some time because From Software couldn't bother making a fucking server that wouldn't make people's OS systems reset or some shit. You know, blame hackers in Call of Duty or even something like GTA Online on a good day, but you don't see such draconian netcode to the point that you can legitimately get your computer fucked up if you so much as paired with somebody. That's pathetic. And I think the same person who did it is making a multiplayer mod or something for Armored Core 6. It's like, wow, good job, guys. You're literally giving praise to a dude who literally shut down your own game. That's just amazing. But you can't criticize From Software because they're the only genuine good companies out there. That's just astonishing. Hell, don't people say that never try to be friendly with corporations because they're not really your friends at the end of the day, but they sure love to defend From Software or whatever, or that they're willingly going to give them $40 for an Elden Ring DLC. But, like I said, I guess I'm just a hater, even though I have more than valid reasons to bring up such points, I guess. Basically. It's basically just fanboyism at the end of the day. It's not even on the same level as Quantum TV. It's just like trying to use legitimate arguments. So people lump that shit on the same league as Young Defiant or even fucking what's his name? I just said it. Quantum. Alright, let's try this shit one more time. If not, I'm just gonna go on. I'm gonna play a different game. I don't know if I'm gonna do MW2 again because that was really fucking dumb. I also reset my stats to look up what the toughness stat was because for some reason I couldn't find a clear guide on how it works or whatever. But at least the game gives you credit and actually lets you examine most stats, but I'm just a very stubborn guy when it comes to games like that. So, egg on my face for not looking into it, but I couldn't really find a way to people explaining it without, in a way that makes sense, but it's whatever. Good God. I don't know what's up with the Xbox 360 as of late. Like, I think it must be Microsoft, like, doing something that's making this not work for some reason. This has been a recurring problem for quite some time, honestly. Yeah, but people don't see that, unfortunately. And that's what's really sad, honestly, is that I barely get comments that are actually, like, reasonable criticism. It's just, oh, I'm hating, or even being friends with people who know I don't care for such things, but they want to get on me for such things, which is kind of my, which is kind of the whole message with the whole Silent Hill 2 remake thing or whatever. Alright, I'm gonna try this one more time, and if not, I'm gonna have to find another game to play. I could probably play Senra Kagura, but I don't know if people want to see that, honestly. I mean, at least I'll be willing to play that than Doom Eternal. The only thing, though, is that I haven't done all of the side missions, so you would have to see the text on screen, which I do find odd you can't turn off subtitles, but it's not like the game has an English dub, which is whatever. I know people get really anal about such things. No pun intended concerning the fan service of the game. It's like, I'm not going to be against the game if it only has a Japanese dub, despite the fact that I would prefer watching things in English. but it's whatever. I just want to enjoy the game, damn it. It's like a BlazBlue Central fix, and people legitimately boycotted the game just because it wasn't an English dub. But people hate English dubs now, so what the fuck? And that to me was like the last pure fighting game that was actually worth a damn. I don't know if the music would be considered copyrighted, though, because I know even some video game tunes are getting on that list of content claims, because I guess the composers make it so that they could claim it, whatever. I don't know if I worded it properly, but it's like... It's not like licensed per se, but it's like it's the music within the game, and I guess the artist made it so that you can't use it in your videos or else you won't be able to monetize it. But yeah, this fucking error code is not letting me play the game, so... That's just amazing, so... I actually wanted to get the attachments. I guess I can't, so I guess to find something else to do. It's not like totally mundane and boring, so I guess Senran Kagura it is, I guess. Yeah, that's why I say you can't argue with morons, because you'll just drive yourself crazy. It's like when I made that Mortal Kombat 1 video. Why the Street Fighter talk in a Mortal Kombat video, when even though the whole point of that video was basically me explaining how Mortal Kombat 1 would have been a lot more interesting if it had gameplay akin to Rival Schools, where yeah, it was still a one-on-one game, but you could switch characters after the round area. It actually would have made the game a hell of a lot more interesting than just having standard fighting game physics with assists and shit. I mean, yeah, it sucks there's no tag mode, but it's like splitting the roster in that way is fucking dumb. People are just weird, honestly. It's like they don't pay attention or they have selective hearing.
Marvelous.
I am curious if my latest video is going to get traction, though. If not, it's whatever. It's not like I collect ad revenue, whatever. I just like to make sure that if I do make a rant, though, I like to at least add something of my own interest, which is why I'm not really doing a video on the Fallout TV show. Even if I wanted to, I just wouldn't have really anything of interest to say, and I'm not really a Fallout nut to really go on about it. I'm not really that big of a fan of the games anyway, at least compared to other games, so I just feel I wouldn't really be able to add anything, or let alone having anything of interest, I guess. By the way, apparently there is, on some sites, you can technically download Budokai Tenkaichi 4, but I don't know if it's actually a download or a special version of the game. I might have to talk about that, actually. I could intertwine that with that request that I've been told to do. Yeah, that's basically it. That's why I'm not taking the advice of playing something like Fortnite for like 12 hours a day, because one, I cannot stand playing Battle Royale to begin with, and number two, if I wanted to play a game that had creative modes in it, I would play something like Mario Maker 2 or Little Big Planet, because at least those have an actual PvE mode, doesn't require an online connection. But it does like that Sony basically playing the... Yes, King, thank you. We were just talking about you, actually. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Anyway, the only reason I haven't set this yet is so I'm just going to have the characters wear their default outfits, because I don't want my shit to be age-restricted. Which it probably will be, because I'm playing a Sony game that has, you know, girls in it, so... You better prepare yourselves. I guess I could also really quick just, I don't know if the music will let me copyright claimed though. I'm kind of worried about that. So, I'll go ahead and pick the, I'll pick Sayuri as the, whatever. You know, we gotta have the old lady, doing stuff. And, we'll do the mission and just go on from there, I guess, and just hope I have a grand old time. Yes, basically, but honestly, this is one of the few games in this series that's actually like a Muso game or whatever the hell. Like, all the other ones are just, a third-person shooter game with water guns and shit. And I think another one is like a really extended, visual novel, which is interesting. And the rest is whatever. It's not in the same league as this, unfortunately. I think this one is sort of the best you're gonna get. Crap, I left the music on, but whatever. Apparently the game has good music. I don't know if it's on the same league as Metal Gear, but whatever. But I definitely do enjoy this game, though. The only thing I didn't like was the final 2 acts of the game, because one of the missions where you play as the chick with the arms was really long and annoying. And if you want to access the final set of missions, you basically have to... Did I break my game? It's taking a while to load. You basically have to find at least half the collectibles, of some of which are literally out of the beaten path, and some of which basically require you to wall run or find the one part of the level that doesn't have the stupid fucking barrier like it's Modern Doom or some shit. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I think I broke my game because it wasn't loading for some reason, so that's good. Like, I was able to play this game perfectly fine off stream, but for some reason when I want to play it, the game's like soft locking it. I think it's trying to tell me not to play it. But I definitely do enjoy the simplistic yet flashy combo system that's obviously not going to be nowhere near as technical as, say, Devil May Cry, but at least it's got something going for it, so I don't mind. Yeah, so I don't know what the hell is disconnecting, really. Oh yeah, that's another thing. The PS4 version is kind of fucked on that end, where you have to have an internet connection because you're playing on console. You have to basically pay for PS Plus, which is like with Modern Doom, actually, with the bots and multiplayer, except I think at least in this game you don't have to worry about leveling up your characters in an online environment, so yay tits. And especially so for if you're playing the Switch version of Doom, because there's literally no ad hoc mode for the bots, which literally makes no sense. I understand if you just want to, like, mess around in the, you know, mess around in the map by yourself, whatever, if you want to play against bots. And you should be able to do it without needing a fucking subscription, but I guess, Todd Howard wants your fucking money. Oh, but Todd Howard didn't make the games. Well, Bethesda published, Doom, and people legitimately gave the Doom reboot a lot of shit when the Wolfenstein game came out that had the Doom beta, so, I think it's perfectly fair to put Bethesda under the bus, especially when, I don't know what the fuck happened. When, especially when, people got mad at Bethesda for removing the Doom Eternal Easter egg, and I guess the costumes stay, so whatever, fuck it. And thankfully I have a turbo controller. But I have to change the settings back to normal, so there you go. I'll change the costumes back unless it's, whatever. I think this is one of the characters in the game that's actually really not that good. The supers are just kind of not that good, in my opinion. Despite having 2 giant fucking arms or whatever. Doesn't really seem to pack a punch, literally. I know they actually listed the Ayane DLC, which kind of sucks. Yeah, Microsoft was definitely no better with that, and it's also why Phantasy Star Online was literally better on the GameCube. You could play offline, and it had split screen multiplayer. For that game, you really need an Xbox Live account just to play the game offline. I guess it's called Phantasy Star Online, but not even the Dreamcast version suffered from that. So, thanks, Microsoft. You literally ruined the gaming industry with your shitty marketing scheme that literally everyone started taking over, especially with Sony and then following Nintendo. But you think the chip with like the fists for weapons, or whatever, would actually be, you know, actually useful, but for some reason it's not. And even our level 5 super is just basically, what the hell is it? It's basically like, sweeping attack that transforms into a robot or whatever, and it doesn't really seem to do that much. It's also very clear that Ryona is the chick that's basically all, you know, like what people are with, Lady D from Resident Evil 7, or whatever. Or, I'm sorry, Resident Evil Village. I can't believe I actually misgendered that. So you think you'd be able to like control this robot, but no, you just do a couple attacks left and right, and that's it. Even though there are other characters who literally have transformations that let you move around or whatever, have new attacks. This chick, nope. So she's kind of low tier in my opinion. At least the combat and overall level design is really simple. You fight a couple of dudes, move on to another area, repeat the process until you fight the chick. So, at least the levels are relatively short, so it's not that you gotta do a marathon for like 10 minutes. Except for that one level in, was it day 7 with this chick? The super dinner, whatever. That level dragged on way too long. But thankfully it's one of the few levels that doesn't have the towers, so you don't have to like blow them up or whatever. But the fact that to find at least half of them to get the final set of levels was really, really stupid. I was not a fan of that. It's like those games that make you go back and recollect things because you didn't do the one thing that you were supposed to do just to progress. And even when the game introduces rideable mechs, they're barely utilized, so they kind of feel like a wasted addition. I was like, oh cool, it's just like in Mega Man X, you get to ride the robots, but then you barely use them. And it's not even like a thing in other games of this sort where you can like have a thing where you can fight against characters or whatever in an offline setting. It's basically what you see is what you get, which is fine, and you can replay levels with any character, but it's like, I was kind of hoping for at least a little bit more replay value, but at least the game is still fun, you know. It's, it clearly wants to be one of those games, so it's fine. I do wish the character customization was a little bit better, but I guess you get enough provided you don't buy the DLC, I guess. Or, I don't know. I guess if you want to buy the DLC, I guess there's a lot more going for it, but honestly, this is the first one I played, and it was on my backlog for quite some time. But I can definitely assure you that this one at least has more to do, provided that you can accept the fact that there's no way to, like, have, what the hell, how do you call it? You can replay levels, but there's not, like, a thing we can make your own or something, like, Warriors Orochi 3 did it, if that makes sense, where you can basically create your own scenario of some sorts. Which is kind of weird since, this game seems like it would have such templates, but not really. Don't even bother getting Burst Renewal on PS4, because that one was censored up the ass, and there was a pretty big controversy when it came out. It was also a remake of another Senran Kagura game. Ironically enough, though, the game's actually started on 3DS, and people were legit wondering if Asuka was going to be in Smash Bros., which is hilarious. Yeah, after all the crap that people gave the 0 rating, or whatever, by essentially making Sakurai censor Palutena, I think, or whatever, or that people are apparently okay with characters like Bayonetta, Joker, yes, Joker, and Solid Snake in the game, despite being from M-rated series of games. It's the bias is strong with this one, Luke. So I'll digress on that 1,000,000%. I don't know if the Peach Splash or whatever is worth it or not. I know it's a third-person shooter, but if it's anything like Gears of War, I'm going to be really mad because I find that game extremely boring. But if you're expecting high-octane combat, then the only ones I can really recommend, per se, are this and maybe even the other game that came out before it. Like, the other ones aren't really the same league as this, which is weird because games like Bomberman had more diverse genres of games, but were at least consistently good in quality. Hell, there was even a series of Bomberman games on the Game Boy Advance that was basically Sunsoft's version of Neotopia, which today it would be considered a Zelda clone, but there aren't really many games like it, and I was honestly a little disappointed that Super Bomberman R wouldn't have a mode like that, but instead it's just your typical Bomberman story, I think taken from the Super Nintendo lineup of games, but it would have at least made it more interesting considering the game basically has Konami cameos and shit, and one of the wrestlers for some reason from wrestling, the black dude, I forget his name, there's way too many of them, but Xavier Woods I think is the name. They also took out the versus mode in Wars of Orochi 4, so I was definitely disappointed with that. So, I didn't bother with 4 at all. Dynasty Wars was already in a pile of shit, with Dynasty Wars 9 just being the absolute worst from what I've seen of it. And at least back when Jim Sully had any integrity at that point, actually crapping on the game. And even being a huge fan of Dynasty Wars and shit, if I'm remembering the lore correctly. But I've been reading the wiki for educational purposes, of course, and apparently there's various timelines in Senran Kagura. There is some form of story in this one in particular, though I guess it kind of requires reading up, or not reading up, sorry. There was apparently a deluxe version of this game that came with a 30-minute OVA, and some people would basically consider this a feature-length beach episode, but there is technically some form of plot that happens, and not to really spoil it too much, but it basically kind of goes on about how, you know, you have to let the grudges go and, you know, make ends with those you've lost or whatever. I don't want to really spoil it too much. I mean, it's obviously not going to be in the same level as, like, Gundam or even Dragon Ball, but there is something there, but I don't know if it would be in the same level as Fire Force, where it would just be unnecessary, but it definitely has fan service, but at least with this game, it has... There's time for cutscenes and there's time for gameplay. So if you're going to be worried about, oh, there's going to be a bunch of bullshit while I'm trying to do combat, there's not any of that. Hell, the side missions I'm doing right now are really the only times where really the characters talk in such a way. So there's time for gameplay and time for cutscenes. And hell, even when you're replaying missions, you can basically turn off the cutscenes and just enjoy that Musou-themed gameplay. So it's not that you gotta sit for 10 minutes where you can fight the boss. You clear the enemies, you move on to another area, you do that until you fight the boss, you beat the boss, and you move on. Some levels drag on more than others, but it doesn't get any more annoying than that. So it's not like in modern games where you basically have a Dragon Ball theme-related charging key match before you fight. You just see the person, you start fighting. So it does not waste your time by getting you into the action. So that's definitely one thing I'll give this game. It kind of reminds me of the old school beat 'em ups where you just played the game. I mean, sure, it's not going to be as technical or deep as Devil May Cry or whatever, even though I'm not really into it. And the first game I really played was Devil May Cry 5, which is already divisive enough as it is. And I even played it twice, because I even bought the I bought the special edition, which I guess people are fine with, even though the special edition is literally console, 9th gen console exclusive, but fuck PC players, right? And even using the super form didn't really change my mind that much better, but whatever. It's a loading option that's in the game, albeit DLC, and I'm going to use it, and I don't care. People want people to play the game, however, so I did that, so whatever. Also, unlike in that game, I'm not going to try to be an asshole, but at least in this game, when you beat levels, you can choose any other character that you want. It would make Devil May Cry 5 a lot more interesting if you actually replayed levels as Dante and V and even Nero, despite levels only designed around certain characters. But would you think Capcom would have actual thought in their minds to actually make said levels available for all characters? Especially since Virgil, yeah, I think it's Virgil, can be used in any level provided you have him as fucking DLC. I mean, it's called Devil May Cry 5, and people love using Dante, but yet he's only available in specific missions, so why not have a thing we can actually use him after, like, completely cleaning out the game and any of the other characters and get the most fun out of the game? But what the fuck do I know? I think there'll be a great incentive to actually complete the game instead of getting some shitty reward, honestly, but like I said, what do I know? It's like, cool, people love Devil May Cry 5, but you can only use the best character in only select missions. That's kind of shitty, honestly. I haven't played Samurai Warriors, unfortunately. I didn't mean to read your message so late, despite console streaming having intentionally delayed because of lame-ass Elgato, but I've only really played Warriors Orochi 3 Ultimate, the PS4 version specifically. I think it was on Xbox, but it took quite a while for it to get there, I think. And I think there was even a PC port that finally came out. But it still has some DLC that's missing, I think. But hey, at least it got a PC port, so better than nothing, right? And I don't think it's censored or whatever, so probably get people being mad that the console-exclusive game is getting a PC port. I think it's just fucking childish for one. It's like, you have people being mad about Rift Apart being added on PC. Well, I'm not mad at that game for that reason. I just think the game's a piece of shit, but if people want to play the game, then, well, they don't have to buy a PS5 for it now, but it's, I don't think it would be very wise to think that every game released on everything would get a PC port. Like, if something like 3D Dot Game Heroes or Dragon's Crown get a PC port, I'll absolutely buy it, but I don't think it would be wise for me to think that would happen. Hell, I didn't think that Advance Wars would get a modern release, but people wanted about the Ukraine war, but then there's the fucking Palestine-Israel war going on, but yet you don't see people complaining about Call of Duty coming out. Especially since Black Ops 5 is literally a thing now, so I guess all that discussion's gonna go out the fucking window. We can wait for Advance Wars. People actually said this shit. I think it's fucking stupid. That was just the dumbest argument I think I've ever seen people with that game in particular. And it's only with Advance Wars for some reason. I do wish I put more time into it, honestly, but maybe one day. I haven't played that one, unfortunately, but I really do hope that they also bring back Metal Walker in some capacity. Is that even a Capcom-developed game or some shit? Like, I know they like, low-key referenced it in, Ultra Street Fighter 2's art book collection, so it technically must be a Capcom IP. People probably mistake that for a Pokemon clone and just write it off, even though it actually has some pretty good gameplay. I mean, obviously, yeah, it's not one-to-one Pokemon, but it does have a lot of interesting gameplay, in my opinion. Jesus Christ. Oh, and apparently if you finish your opponents near specific arenas, you can actually get them fancy finishing cinematic moves. It's kind of like in that JoJo fighting game where if you finish your opponent's certain parts, you basically get a recreation of a scene from the anime or the manga, whatever one is relevant now. Oh god, I really hope they don't remake Resident Evil 5. That'll just fucking break the internet. As much as Resident Evil 5 is somewhat of an improvement over Resident Evil 4, I don't think it's that much better. The tank controls still suck ass. The fucking... It's not the controls, honestly, and just that the gameplay is something, but it's like, at least I'd rather play that than 4. Like, it wants to be a combat-oriented game, but the controls really take away from it. It's like, there's kind of a reason why even Rockstar or whoever made GTA 1 and 2 did not make Grand Theft Auto have tank controls. I think they kind of learned their lesson from that after GTA 2. And it was also top-down to boot, so that wasn't fun. I think one of the few top-down GTA games that didn't have this shit was GTA Advance, which literally came out the same day as GTA San Andreas, and is basically, almost, interesting, but, or, no. Kind of, sort of, but not really a remake of GTA 3, where it uses the same setting and some assets from there, but even has a couple characters that were in GTA 3. Even King Courtney is actually kind of a predominant character, actually. Even Asuka, I think that's her name, and stuff. But it's not like, oh, you get to meet Claude or anything, but it's kind of a weird game, honestly, but considering that GTA had really shitty Game Boy Color ports back then, it's probably the best that you're going to get unless you play Chinatown Wars, or which shall be probably better. I really hate how that game had fixed radio stations, and by that I mean they used music from GTA 1 and 2, but it's only tied to specific cars, which makes no fucking sense. It's not like, oh, you can just change the music on the radio, but yet they just made it so that if you go into a Stallion or whatever, you hear that one song in a Stallion, or if you're going to a bus, you would hear a song that's set for the bus. Yeah, unfortunately though with Sony, I wouldn't really count on it. Unless it's made by Western developers, and they can put all the booba they want. I just enjoyed the gameplay, honestly. I mean, not with this character in particular. I don't think she's one of the better characters, but it's still something, I guess. That's why I'm, like, doing the constant, jumping and, diving attack, because it's really the only form of consistent damage I can really get. But you have to give the game a chance. It's definitely, you know, just kind of pick up and play kind of game. It's not that, oh, you gotta watch cutscenes before you play the game, whatever. And if you skip the cutscenes, just get to the game. It's definitely gonna suffer for everyone, unless you're just not into women, I guess. And not even just virtual women here, but just like women. Oh, there might be dudes who are gay, but actually just like the combat. You never know. Or play as the one chick who practically has no fucking breast development. But this is the way I see it personally. I still think Akiba's trip is more interesting, though, because it actually has gameplay that's more meaningful. And it's basically a mixture of Yakuza and Dead Rising, but without the monotonous time limit and escorting and shit. And that even in Akiba's trip, you can pretty much use any weapon you see, and the only thing you really need to do is just beat the opponent. You can basically get it for yourself. But Hellbound and Debrief was kind of shit. I personally prefer Undead and Undressed, which is the localized sequel of the game. Much more refined, too. Like, that to me speaks way more volumes than, whatever the hell Celeblade is, or whatever game is now, whatever. It also helps that even in Undead and Undressed, when you go for the game in New Game Plus, you can literally change the avatar of the characters or whatever, so you can basically have partners that are based on the other characters in the game. Like, yeah, there's no modding support in the console version, but just the fact you can unlock various avatars for the characters, and you can basically play as a girl or have the dude or whoever just swap roles. It's kind of interesting, honestly. It literally gives you more bang for your buck than banging a chick, I guess, if that makes sense. And I even mentioned the combat in the game is not as refined as other games. It definitely is way more for the game than to make up for it. Oh, that's another thing with this game, too. I don't believe there's any co-op missions in the sense you can go through the story missions together. It's just purely single-player. Which is a bit of a shame, because there are certain missions where you basically get a CPU ally, but it's not that you can have them partake in you. And it's definitely no Xenoverse 2, if you're even into that sort of thing. But if you're into this single-player stuff and you don't mind a little customization here and there, I definitely say this is worth your time. I'd probably get it on PC, though, just so that if you feel like getting the Ionic DLC through other means, you can kind of do that. Unless you want to play on PlayStation. I don't think there's much censorship in this, to be honest. This did come out in 2015, so this was back when Sony wasn't complete shitheads about censoring their games when they're literally a Japanese company. But I'll digress. People actually try to defend that shit, too. It's like, oh, they're not xenophobic or they're not racist towards Japanese people. Yes, they are. They're absolutely racist against their own kind. I don't care if they fucking move to California. Sony is a Japanese company, and they're basically censoring anything that's remotely Japan-related. I think that's really, really bad. It's like when Low-Tier God goes on about how people of his own kind are worthless. It's ridiculous. Sony is fucking xenophobic. There is no denying that. I also really hate, too, that people are going on about with Stellar Blade and that, oh, well, if they want to change the costume to be more appealing, they can do that. But it's like, they literally promised the game would not be censored in all versions of the country. And even just changing one little thing goes against their word entirely. Especially after patchwork. Like, do people not understand the irony of that? Oh, are you having her play the remaster or the original? And I don't call it a remake because it's more or less the same game. Yes, it has much better graphics, and it does have gameplay changes for better or worse, but you're still playing the same game. The only difference is that the visuals are obviously much more updated, and the music is whatever. But honestly, how many remasters and remakes have been out there, and they haven't changed the music to make it whatever? I do find it kind of hypocritical that people are gonna shit on the Demon's Souls remaster for basically doing what most modern remakes and remasters do by changing things for better or worse, especially in the visuals department. It's not like I see people talking about how you can't drop rings or certain armor sets, especially the Penetrator set, which is apparently a thing that was added for the PS5 version, which I guess makes sense because it's meant to be a prestigious award. But then you could even drop anything in the original version, or even that deluxe version gives you special items that you can't get anywhere else, and also can't be dropped, which I guess kind of makes sense. Or even that there was that pre-order bonus, which is even worse than Dark Souls 2, because you can literally you cannot get that weapon unless you pre-order the game physically. By the way, I know it's gonna sound kind of dumb, but I actually got the game digitally. Reserved it because I wanted to play the game. I was eventually going to get a PS5 because I actually really wanted to play it because because Demon's Souls is one of the better games in the Souls series and probably the only one that's actually close to being good, despite all the faults it has. It was the first of its kind, so you can kind of let the problems, not be that bad. But then the sequels that came afterward didn't really fix much of it, so it's kind of inexcusable when they keep having design choices, whether it's intentional or not, to not, at the very least, be refined. Hell, the magic point system in Dark Souls 3 is pretty much the same thing as what Demon's Souls did, except they also tied weapon arts to it, which is dumb because, well, I think you know why. Well, if you're playing the PS5 version, at least the co-op is much more accessible, so I guess that's good. And the PS3 version was really fucking stupid, so... There's definitely one thing I'll give Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3 is that with the password system, it definitely made playing co-op a lot more accessible, I guess, if people want to call it that. It's not just a LAN option, though. That would definitely make these games last way longer and actually have proper latency and hitbox corrections, I guess. Oh, and apparently when you complete one of these missions or whatever, or the end of the episode, you basically get like a little credits for as if it's an anime or something, which is kind of cool. The side missions are basically like condensed anime episodes, I guess. Oh, that's good. Phalanx is an interesting boss. Even the Tower Knight is an interesting boss. There are actually a lot more interesting boss fights in Demon Souls than most games that came out after it. I also find it funny that they changed the... I forget the name of the boss. The winged... The boss in the Song of Storms, no. The Ocean of Storms or whatever. The one we have to fight the... we have to use the sword ruler at the end of the section of levels. Dude, they made the boss from this yellow glowing thing in the original to make it look like an actual Mancubus. And it looks like the one from the original Doom games. I'm not even kidding. It's like, when I look at that boss, it's like, it almost looks like the Mancubus from Doom. It's kind of silly, actually. I can even look up right now just because, why not? Let me see. Demon Souls, blah, blah, blah. I apologize if I'm skipping the cutscenes, honestly, but I don't want this shit to get flagged because of nudity or whatever, even though it's not really nudity. Let's see. I probably might have said in the chat. Here we go. The Adjudicator. The way this boss looks in the PS5 version legit looks like a Mancubus from Doom. It was this giant, glowy, yellow demon in the PS3 version, but for some reason they made it look like a Mancubus in the PS5 version. I don't know why. It's ridiculous. It's going to do with the color choice, I think, and the fact is that giant pink tongue. It just reminds me of the Mancubus in a way. I can't even unsee it now. Yeah, the Adjudicator. There you go. Thank you. Yeah, they made that boss look like the Mancubus from Doom. I do find it funny that some people say that boss fight is boring because all you do is attack its stomach and that's it. Well, it's almost as if each boss in Demon Souls is designed differently and not meant to play out in a similar manner. Like, even Phalanx and Tower Knight, like you said, are completely different boss experiences. They're not just bosses that attack you like they're in an anime and some shit. Which I don't understand why people use anime as a criticism for Japanese-related games. Like, when you watch DSP play Tekken 8 and he says, Loris has an anime attack, it's like, dude, it's Tekken, and Tekken is known to have weird anime shit in it. It'd be like playing Guilty Gear complaining that the characters are anime. And I also really find it annoying that people downplay fighting games by calling them anime fighters. But I'll digress on that. Or that, shit, I lost my train of thought, but, yeah, even the Man-Eaters were rough, but that's the boss that was unique. Like, a lot of the bosses in Demon Souls are, in a way, unique. And that each one has its own story to tell, whereas in most bosses after that were just kind of more or less the same, just with maybe a little bit of slight design choice to not make it as mundane compared to the rest, I guess. It's kind of why I hate bosses like the not twin princes, the demons in the Ring City, because it's basically structured the same way as Ornstein and Smo. except you actually have to kill both of them to get to the third phase. It'd be like if you were to fight both Ornstein and Smoke, but you have to kill both of them to activate their super form, whatever. Yeah, Old Hero was kind of interesting, but it was kind of a weird thing where if you shot him with too many arrows, you would kind of know where you are, which I guess is kind of the game's way of detecting foul play, I guess. Or cheesing by modern terms or whatever, so it's like... It's like, people kind of put two and two together. It's like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do that because he'll just... Maybe... I probably shouldn't shoot arrows at him too much because he'll kind of know where I am, even with the... that ring that basically makes you invisible to enemies or some shit. I mean, yeah, it's dumb, but it's not that, oh, well, it happens randomly. I think it happens if you shoot, like, I think 2 or 3 arrows at a time consecutively. So it's not like the game is pulling some RNGesus on you. Or even that one boss where you have to kill a certain enemy or else it keeps being revived or whatever. Which is... You don't see things like that in the other games, really. Yeah, dude, I can't stand that fight. I don't know why the hell From Software basically wanted to make boss fights in Dark Souls like it's Devil May Cry or some shit, knowing that Dark Souls combat works best when it's like a one-on-one fight, which is why I much prefer fighting Dark Eater Midir over something like Slave Knight Gale. It's like, obviously, yes, the sheer intimidation of fighting, Dark Eater Midir, which I actually have videos of me fighting him, by the way. This was back when I was playing the game, and even back when I was on Twitch, there was a dude who basically mentioned the strategies to fight. It's like, okay, this boss isn't really that hard. Yeah, the run back fucking sucks ass, but, you know, by the traditional From Software boss design, Dark Eater Midir pretty much fits the bill. It just sucks that it's in Dark Souls 3, and it's also locked behind a knowing number of requirements. Like, fighting Gale is just basically an endurance test, literally, and how much you can wear down your dodge button, and you can kind of cheese that fight, like, legitimately if you have him positioned in a proper way and just use poison mist or whatever to just make him die slowly but surely. And also, Dark Souls 3 was the game that kind of started doing that multi-health bar fight bullshit. It's like, I don't mind bosses getting new attacks when their health starts to get to a certain fresh point. Like, I think games like Mega Man X kind of made that shit standard. But when you have to fight like 2 or 3 bosses in a row, especially in a game like Dark Souls, where the game is already hard enough as it is, it just gets really annoying. I think someone, I forget who said this, but it really resonates with me that ever since Artorias the Abyss, Dark Souls basically tried to turn it to Devil May Cry with how fast-paced the fights have gone, and even Seth from 17, when he did his New Game Plus 7 Destroying Lordran video, he basically mentioned how Knight Artorias ruined Dark Souls forever. Which is very bold, but a very true statement, since a lot of bosses since then have basically tried to one-up such fights. And the fact that Elden Ring cranks it up to 11 and not in the good way is kind of why I don't want to play it. Like, if I can't stand fighting Sister Fried, I do not want to fight a final boss who is even more annoyingly designed than Soul of Cinder. Like, I just don't want to deal with it. But yeah, I'm a hater because I didn't play it, so I don't know, even though it's basically just the same game. I mean, sure, it's open world, but games like Metal Gear Solid 5 and even Halo Infinite kind of prove that even if your game goes open world, if the game is shit, it's shit. This might be kind of a hot take, but at least can kind of tolerate Homefront the Revolution. Mainly because, while yes, it's technically open world, the sandbox isn't as ridiculous and actually does unique things with the gameplay, like being able to change certain weapons around. It's also, I think, developed by the people who made Crysis, and you can do other interesting stuff with it. Not that it's a good game as others, but it's certainly tried, I guess. As much of a high tolerance for Dark Souls 2, I cannot stand fights like Dark Lurker. Even if it is technically a secret fight, but I fucking hate the principle of that fight. It costs human effort just to retry. You have to basically do an extinction run to get a remote chance of even standing a chance against the fucker. And when you when you get the health down to a certain point, the Dark Lurker just becomes two, and you have to deal with not one, but two shitty boss attack patterns, in which aren't even telegraphed properly. It's just, oh, whatever the boss is doing, you literally have to keep your eye on the other one, because if you do an attack, it can instantly kill you. And also, big ups to the game legitimately having that thing where unless it says you defeated on screen, it does not count as you killing the boss, and that actually happened while fighting Dark Lurker. I was so fucking pissed. And I think even happened was fighting Smelter Demon. Not the blue one, but the red one. It's like, okay, great, I killed the boss. But it didn't say you died, so I didn't... No. It didn't say you defeat... Yeah. It didn't say you defeated, so it did not give me credit for killing the boss. Even though I've already killed the boss, but it's like in those fighting games where getting a double KO, except you still lose because fuck you. Yeah, fighting Dark Lurker more than once is pointless, honestly. At least it's one of the... But to give Dark Souls 2 credit in that sense, even though I can't stand the boss, it's at least probably comes to close to having an actual secret boss fight that not many other From Software games have come close to. Like, I don't think Dark Souls 2 is anything like that. I'm not going to count the Champion Gundar in it because it's I'm not going to count in the same way as that. It's like you actually have to do prerequisites that are actually interesting, but maybe not as vague, I guess, or whatever. It's like, oh wow, a hidden, an illusory wall that has that houses a whole new area and also houses an emote that you can use to actually access a whole new area, which I guess is kind of interesting. Except even then, it's kind of, if you can put two and two together, it's not really that hard to understand. It's like, okay, you see a dragon doing a different pose, and then you pick up an emote that has that same pose, and then later on you find another statue that has that. You put two and two together, it's like, ah. It is kind of interesting though that if you actually get the emote in Dark Souls 2, it kind of makes you can actually go to the Archdeacon Peak before you even fight what's his face, the fucker who calls for Ocelot because he just wants that damn Pokemon, don't you know? Most people probably reference Metal Gear, but I reference the fucking Pokemon because why not? Even though I fucking hate this series, I think it's massively overrated, and I really hate the design philosophy of their core games. I didn't even really like the anime, honestly. And I really hated the fucking dub of the MW2 movie. That movie was fucking ass. But I'm sure there's something in Elden Ring that might be interesting in a sense, but at least as annoying as Dark Souls 2 is, it's at least in a compact setting and doesn't try to overdo it to such ridiculous levels. And even knowing how many fucking bosses there are in Elden Ring, but yet people give Dark Souls 2 shit for having too many bosses. And then most of those bosses, even one of them being a really shitty Capra Demon, why would I want to go for that? Some people just don't understand and mistake me for hating. But I positively bring it up a lot. It just goes to show how much invested I am with it while playing Booba game. Like, there's no way I could get any conversation like that with Fallout, for example, because I just don't have much interest in the same way I do with a game like that, I guess. So I don't know how to hate, it's just, I don't want From Software to be doing the same shit that other people get away with, you know? It's, it would be kind of shitty if DLC came out and it was just the same old shit again. That would be really annoying. Such people who actually like the game. It's not necessarily out of hate, but I'll digress. But unfortunately, people don't understand that. Yeah, that's another thing. Dark Souls 1 is claimed as the ultimate game of all time, but yet has some of the shittiest final act of all time. Which, by the way, fighting the Dragon God in Demon Souls is way worth more fighting than bit of chaos, mainly because it actually has an actual respectable run back. And that's mainly just because of how the arc stones are designed to begin with. It kind of sucks that you don't fight them in a way that you do as advertised or whatever, but how many games have gotten flack for that sort of thing where it shows the thing on this, or however it's advertising it, it just turns out to be kind of underwhelming. Hell, people consider the true final boss of Demon's Souls underwhelming, but it's almost as if it's trying to tell a story or something. The non-existent story that these games have, but whatever. I don't think the lore is really the reason why people should play the game, honestly, because I just think that's kind of silly for one, but if it wasn't for the gameplay that's at least interesting, then I don't think it would be fondly remembered. I'm not against the way the game tells a story, but it really has a hard time making me care for one. But, I don't know, that's just the way that I see it. I think Miyazaki is a fan of the dude who wrote No Country for Old Men. That's a conclusion I mainly came up with. And that movie is known to be boring as sin to a lot of people, where nothing basically happens for, like, the full thing, if that makes any iota of sense. So you can know the lore of something like Ornstein and Smo or Knight Artorias, but I'm playing a game, I'm not watching a movie. However it wants to do its design is whatever, but that doesn't mean it's immune to criticism, especially if it's annoying or whatever. There are some things I do like from Dark Souls. Look at the build variety, the level design, what's not ass and AIDS and shit. And even though Dark Souls 2 level design isn't as good as Dark Souls 1, there's still plenty of exploration. And even as much as I absolutely hate Bloodborne, the first area alone is some of the most diverse amount of things you can explore in the first zone of the game, which is impressive. And Dark Souls 3, being as linear as it is, at least still has areas that have shortcuts and stuff, so it's worth playing for that reason, but it's just horrendously linear like in Metroid Fusion, except Metroid Fusion is way more fun to play, despite being pretty damn linear, but whatever. I know it seems like a really odd comparison, but Dark Souls 3 is mad linear, and the fact that you can't really get more different choices on level progression the more times you play is kind of a sin, when at least in other games you can kind of mix up your routes or whatever. I guess so, but there's some things that Dark Souls does well that other games should inherit, but some people kind of take it a little too far, honestly. Like, people legit gatekeep if you even so much as summon over. I think it's fucking stupid. Like, I can't stand the easy mode argument because it's people who take the argument to such ridiculous levels. When even some of the most critically acclaimed games of all time don't even have difficulty levels, it's just that they're designed much more competently. But, you know, what do I know? Like, I'm pretty sure one of those games is Soul Reaver Legacy of Kain. You know, that didn't have a difficulty level, and yet it's considered one of the best games of all time. Or even Castlevania Symphony of the Night. That doesn't have a difficulty level, yet it's considered one of the easiest games during the era, or the first true Metroidvania, but it's still... People don't care how easy it is. People like it because the graphics, the cheesy voice acting, and just having deep gameplay for the time. Yeah, there's some parts that were annoying, but it wasn't by design. Or even some games, they actually have to unlock the harder difficulty to get to it, and yet people want to complain about that. It's like, oh, you have to play the game to unlock the harder difficulty. Well, most games are like that, and if that's not your thing, then well, too bad. Dark Souls is the only game that's actually pretty challenging, honestly. I definitely will agree that Dark Souls is not for everyone, but a lot of games can be applied to that. Hell, even this game right now is not for everyone. people just get icky at the sight of anime or whatever, which is thing is fucking stupid. But some people are like that. But you know, it doesn't help that some things that could be seen as interesting is ruined by bad fan service. It doesn't have to be with anything, whether it be involving women or just how Dark Souls 3 handles its fan service. It's disgusting. But people have reasons for not wanting to do things, but some people kind of take it way too far. Even myself included, but, you know, some people are like that. Not trying to say that I'm better than the rest, but it's, say people think that they're right all the time. I think it's dumb. And plus, if a game is interesting to me and I play it, and I like it, then I like it. But, again, what do I know? Hell, I didn't want to think that I was a Doom 3... Or, not Doom 3. No. A modern Doom hater. I was like, I played it and I found it to be really disappointing. I gave it another chance at Doom Eternal. I was like, yeah, fuck it. I'm not playing it ever again. I don't want to be in the modern Doom sucks camp because I can't do things that journalists do. It's just, I just think the gameplay is a piece of shit. Hell, I didn't even like Hellbound and Debrief, despite how much I loved playing Undead and Undressed. The gameplay is just way too clunky for a remaster of a PSP game. It's like one of those games where you go to where the sequel is so refined, quote unquote, but then you play the original. It's just so clunky. It's like, what the fuck is this? I guess I'll be hating too because I'm not kissing the ass of the game that everyone else wants you to. Hell, I don't even like Shadow of the Colossus. I think the game is massively boring. And it kind of sucks that they go for the game to unlock the boss rush mode, which, considering how fucking dull and lifeless the open world is, just having a game where you can essentially, you know, fight the boss in its own area and then being rewarded to explore it might be a little more interesting, but what do I know? Honestly, some anime just has some pretty bad fan service. Some are horrendous with it, while others aren't like it. But people have been legitimately xenophobic ever since X-Witter has been living longer. It's like, I don't know. Like, people will look at something like at Fire Force and think that the anime is bad or whatever. Which, I guess to be fair, I kind of felt that too, because it's like, you have a show with an interesting premise, but it's just ruined by tasteless design, but, you know, with how things are, some people are just like that, but it's, I don't take it to the extreme. If it's something that I'm interested in, I'll take a crack at it. If not, then whatever. It's like, obviously I'm playing a game full of sexy booba, and even a girl who is literally flat-chested right now. I mean, obviously, yeah, it's ridiculous, but that's kind of the point of the game. It's also a thing, too, it's a game. It's not like you're watching a movie or an anime. You're literally interacting with the environment. I hate to use the dumb meme, but you control the buttons you press. And it's not that, oh, I'm sitting here waiting for 10 minutes or whatever before I can start playing the game. It's been pretty high-octane action from this time I started to play this compared to whenever. But even then, anime is not the only media in the world to have bad fan service. People get turned off because of it. But some people really take it to the extreme. Like, people who hate dubs or subs or whatever, it's just fucking stupid. Like, it's... Do people forget about Resident Evil or Symphony of the Night? Those games have some pretty notorious English dubs. I mean, I know it's kind of a weird example, but it's like... I don't know. It's just fucking stupid. I was kind of worried that I wouldn't really like Senran Kagura. Well, this game in particular, because I'm like, okay, it might be one of those fan servicey games, but you know, when I play it, it's like, I'm like, I mean, it's not the best thing ever. Like I said, I still think Akiba Ship is a little better, but you know, for a game you just want to kind of pick up and play, I think it does a pretty good job at that. And it's not overly complex, but it definitely has enough replay value to give a bang for your buck, honestly. And not to mention that most of this shit is fictional anyway, so I'm not really fazed by it. there was some writing, at least in Hellbound and Deep Wave, that's kind of questionable, but I wouldn't go on a fucking Japanese hate campaign because of it. I even mentioned in the video, it's like, the game wants to throw the message that, you know, shipping people's clothes off for perverted reasons is dumb. It's like, when the whole fucking point of the game is to ship people's clothes off. I just think it's a little silly, but it's no reason to go on a fucking hate campaign about. You know, it's just really questionable writing that wouldn't be any different in other forms of media, where it just kind of goes against the very thing it's established on. It doesn't go any deeper than that. But some people really take it way too far, honestly. Like, legitimately way too far with it, and it's kind of disgusting, honestly. Like, people boycotted BlazBlue because it didn't have a fucking English dub. But yeah, people hate English dubs now. The only thing that people really should be using, though, is the localizers who want to censor things, and the voice actors who are known to be kind of big pieces of shit. Oh yeah, those people. The sports games aficionados. I kind of wish there were more, like, arcade, like, sports games, like NBA Jam, or even NFL Blitz, or even Base Wars. That's a fucking old-ass game. Kind of showing my age there, but fuck it. The only one I really bought in recent memory was NFL 21, because it had Tom Brady on it. But it's for personal reasons. It would be kind of silly if I went on about it, so I'm not gonna go on too much about that. But I don't know. I'm kind of the dude who prefers playing like the older wrestling games that weren't like completely simulated or whatever. And I personally get more enjoyment of those than actually watching the program itself. Although, to be fair, I have been playing WWE 2K23 with some friends, and I definitely say that the local multiplayer is okay, but if I had a choice, though, I definitely would still play something like Here Comes the Pain, just for the sheer factor that the actual moves you do in the game are a million times more simulated than what you get in 2K23. Like, when you do a Stone Cold Stunner in that game, you felt the impact. Or even, what was that game? There was actually two other wrestling games I remember buying that wasn't, like, part of the lineup. There was All-Stars, because that one was actually interesting, even though the main problem with that game is that it lacks the customization, and even 2K Battlegrounds being the game that people thought would be All-Stars, but was riddled with really shitty microtransactions and shit, but at least it's different in the sense that it's not milked to death, but the microtransactions, the way to unlock wrestlers, was really, really unacceptable. To me, I stopped playing the wrestling games after 2011, because at that point, I believe 2K took over, and it just went downhill from there. Speaking of downhill, this game got the loading screen bug again, so I'm going to have to quit out for now. At least it saves, and you actually can save whenever. Not sure what to play right now. I'll try it one more time. Yeah, the AKI games are definitely much more appealing. I even like Def Jam Vendetta more than Fight for New York. I know it sounds like a fucking sin, honestly, but I really prefer Vendetta more for the blazing moves, since you actually felt the impact of those, whereas the ones in Fight for New York are kind of not as good, but I can definitely see the game being a lot more interesting for local multiplayer sessions. But wasn't that game also kind of broken too, with the Street Fighter class being an instant KO move or whatever? I don't know. I just definitely prefer Vendetta for the... and also DMX too, so that definitely wins as well. I also like the music in that game way more than Fight for New York. Only thing that sucked is that there wasn't a playlist option, so you can actually have the songs you liked, but almost all the songs of Vendetta are sleeper hits, as they would call it, or how kids you say that they're fired, it slaps. Like, it's actually good rap music, doesn't make you want to blow your brains out. I can't stand modern rap. It makes me cringe. But yeah, I'll try this one more time, and if not, I'll have to switch a game or something. I don't know if a Call of Duty will work. There we go. I don't know why the game does that. At least it only happens during the initial loading screen. I did find it interesting that I think it was the PS2 version, they got a Japanese version and replaced some of the wrestlers with exclusive characters. I even bought the soundtrack to Def Jam Vendetta because I just liked it that much. Like, I don't really do that with a lot of games. I know I did it for Legendary. The game actually has a really good soundtrack, but the gameplay is kind of ass. Speaking of ass, this... Jesus Christ, that was remarkable timing. This character's level 2 Nimpo is kind of crazy. It has a really interesting area of effect attack. And I think our level 5 is some sort of giant wheel of death, so that's fun. And our level 1 literally turns people into flat pancakes. So that's fun. That fucking timing though, Jesus Christ, I did not mean to do that. Oh, boss already. Oh, that's cool. But... oh, yeah, I also have the soundtrack to Anarchy Reigns. Now, that game's soundtrack is great. I really wish that game did get a PC port, but I'm not going to cry that it's not on PC. I'll just play the 360 version or emulate if I really want to. The game kind of did the whole sandbox thing while just letting you do things in between missions a lot more fun than most games, honestly. Even the cast of characters made it fun, too, especially with the number of characters you unlock and even buying Bayonetta's DLC. Now, that was a game, honestly. I didn't play Mad World, unfortunately. I know it had a bunch of interesting mini-games, and it even had two-player mode that was interesting, and the game had black and white noir art style with red all over like it's a girl film or some shit. I remember watching Critical play the game a long time ago, back when he actually made interesting videos and not just whatever the hell he does now. What's up, everybody? It's Critical. Today we're going to be playing Anarchy Reigns or Max Damage for the Xbox 360. Let's do this shit. I fucking hate what Critical does now. It just kind of seems like a low-key sell, honestly. I'm sure it's the same vocabulary, but my god, it's, my god, it's something. If it would return, I think Capcom would censor it and we'll probably get another 3 out of 10 scandal from IGN. Because they really poorly reviewed the game back then. Like, actually poorly reviewed it. Not that how IGN handled Cellblade or even Doom 2016, but just, like, actually being incompetent at the game and blaming the game for it and giving it an unjust score. I haven't played the game, unfortunately, so... I know, shocking, but maybe one day if I'm filling up for it. I know Capcom did essentially make their own version of Devil May Cry, but with, what the hell is that movie? The Disney movie with, The Nightmare Before Christmas? Yeah, they actually did a tie-in movie based on a kid's movie that's, unfortunately, more truer than how people are nowadays with, literally The Nightmare Before Christmas, because they literally put Halloween stuff before Christmas. And skipping poor Thanksgiving because, you know, reasons. Using iron in this game is kind of weird, though. It's like, you can only carry one at a time. It has a really bad arc, like an NES game, and they're only tied to specific levels, so you don't get to use them that much. And some characters even have their own elemental attacks. Anyway, like Yumi has, her fans basically have ice elements on it, so using the freeze ball will be completely pointless and shit, so I kind of don't get that. Yeah, I have a PS3. Haven't used it much, unfortunately. I'd like to, but I've been, busy, as you can clearly see. I definitely felt that the PS3 had better exclusives, minus The Last of Us, because that game is not a game I'm sorry. But definitely the 360 had more overall stable performance, which is kind of a shame because the PS3 definitely did have some pretty good sleeper hitters, if that's the term I'm looking for. It was just vastly overpriced at launch, and it took quite a while until the PS3 finally got the recognition it deserved, if my memory recalls correctly. Not to mention that the PS3 was also, you could import it without any issues, so it was actually pretty easy to play Japanese games on it, so that's good. You can even, like, import the European version of MK vs. DC Universe to get that shitty 50 frames a second, but getting the uncensored Deathstroke and Joker fatalities if you really wanted to, I guess. I think it ran at 50 frames a second. I know a lot of European games way back then had 50 hertz, so playing something like the European releases of Nintendo games on the service is a fucking eyesore. Thankfully, times have changed for that, but unfortunately, people still complain about frame rate in the most ridiculous ways possible. Not that their arguments don't hold water, though. Like, I can definitely understand why, but it's like... some people really take it to the extreme. I'm not one of those people that's saying that, oh, there's no difference between 30 and 60, which there clearly is. It's just, I'm playing a game, and if it's, the game's frame rate isn't making me vomit, then whatever, it's still a game. Like, even playing Dead Island on 360, yeah, Dead Island on 360 right now. Obviously, yeah, playing the game is, like, ridiculous, but it's still the same game from back then. It's just, people are used to higher frame rates. So, I don't know. I just care about the game being good if the frame rate doesn't actually play like a slideshow, but what do I know? Hell, if anything, people should be more mad at games like the original Dragon Ball Xenoverse, where the console versions were all locked at 30, and the PC version had a 60 frames per second option. Which is kind of fucking stupid. I believe some PS2 models actually... PS2. I believe there were some PS3 models that had PS2 compatibility but were removed. And even some of the earlier PS3 models are probably not only ridiculous in price now, but are known to crash a lot. And not to mention the internal storage memory was absolute shit. I have the 500GB model, so digital games are no problem, but... at least one thing I give Sony credit for is that the PS5 can actually play PS4 games no problem, because Sony was ridiculous with backwards compatibility, even during the PS2 days. Or actually, no, not the PS2, I'm sorry, the PS3. Like, I would consider the PS1 backwards compatibility on the PS2 a bonus, whereas the PS3 definitely had issues running certain PS1 games. You can't even play Medal of Honor because the way the game is designed, or the way it's handled on backwards compatibility is just ridiculous. Playing Mortal Kombat Trilogy is basically impossible no matter what platform you're playing it on. I guess the PS2 version is... I guess playing a PS2 is a little more stable, but it's not much better, unfortunately. Which sucks, I actually love that game. playing on PS3 doesn't work. Playing on PS2 doesn't work. It's kind of sad. Yeah, that is true with the frame rate, but even some games are not designed to run at a higher frame rate. Even games like GTA 3, a game that people love, but if you try to increase the frame rate, it kind of doesn't work properly. Or even games like... Wasn't there a mod for Dark Souls that when you try to run a game to 60 frames a second, that the game would make you... fuck. It would make it so that you would slide under ladders or some shit? It's almost as if From Software should be ashamed of the same reason people are with other games, I guess. But what do I know? Or the durability bug for Dark Souls 2, where your weapons basically broke faster than Thanos can snap his Infinity Gauntlet. It's, kind of a shame, actually. Even Dark Souls 1 on PC is amongst the lineup of actually bad PC ports. And people still call it the best game of all time, which is ridiculous to me. But I'll digress. Which I know is still looked down upon, but people still think that From Software are the best ever, and don't you dare criticize them or even bring that up, even though even people like Inferno Plus literally brought that up when he was criticizing Dark Souls Remaster, where they literally tie things to frame rate, which is certainly not the best way to design games, but I guess because it's From Software, people accept it, which I think is bullshit. That's why I kind of have higher standards for them in that sense, because they shouldn't do shit like that. There's a better netcode for their games, have actually functioning multiplayer that doesn't require free wikis to look up how to actually connect, and actually having better designed games. Well, I guess that last one is totally subjective, but still. Not saying you should completely overhaul their games, but at least make it more consistent, I guess. But, again, what do I know? Like, imagine if you're playing Call of Duty or something, and you had to look up how the matchmaking works or whatever. Or that you have to do some shit just to understand how to make the multiplayer work at all. Like, that's just fucking dumb. Like, people just want to hop on a game and play or whatever. Like, you cannot do that with Dark Souls, and I think it's really fucking dumb. Like, how do I do co-op in Dark Souls? Oh, okay, well, you have to beat a boss, or if you didn't beat the boss, you have to talk to an NPC to give you an item. Oh, but Mr. I'm probably gonna butcher the name, if excuse me a second. Machiavelli? You're criticizing From Software. You're not allowed to do that. You can only sing the praises of it. What frame rate dips are you talking about? I'm playing Dark Souls Remaster right now. It runs at a smooth, buttery 60 frames per second. Even though the game is tied to frame rate. You can't criticize From Software. You're not allowed to do that. You can only sing the praises of them, don't you know? It's like how DSP tells a story about how GTPO is, you know, busted, except that people got mad at him for being a shithead, but he tried to spin it that we know it's a piece of shit, but you're not allowed that public could call it out. That's what that vibe kind of gets me, honestly. I wouldn't really be so hard if people would at least accept the actual faults it has. Like, I'm not saying people can't enjoy the game, but if you really admire the game so much, you have to be able to criticize it. Like, you cannot just sit there being in denial, literally tears of denial, about games like that. It would be impossible. I hate to go back to it again, but I really enjoy Undead and Undressed, but to deny them, but to go on in denial about the combat system, how it's fun, is not really, would not be very smart. And I'll be the first to admit the combat in the game kind of sucks, but it is tolerable to a point, but it has a lot more going for it, so it can be excused. I know certainly won't be for everyone because they're basically shipping men and women's clothes off, but what it offers definitely offers a lot more than most games I played and actually enjoyed. So there you go. But yeah, people are really annoying with that. It's only with the popular games anyway. Like, I guess it's okay to blindly praise a game, but blindly hating it is somehow an issue. I think I smell double standards, actually. I think someone made a point that people look at those like it's William Shakespeare, that people just know of his works, so they automatically praise it or something, which is kind of silly, but I guess it makes sense. I really want to try to do Modern Warfare 2, but I don't know if it's going to work or not. I don't know if the booba can really save me for so long. Like, honestly, it's I really do want to get the rest of those attachments. If the game's not working, I can't really do much about it, so... I mean, it sucks, but it's not that, oh, I'm fucked. But still. I was actually really happy that the original Modern Warfare 2 servers have backup runs, so people actually played a better game. Yeah, basically. Like, even with Quantum TV, like, if he didn't do the shit that he did, people just think he's just another shitty person who made a shitty review and nobody at the end of it. But, you know. I already mentioned that, so I don't want to repeat myself, because I'm pretty sure even my tangents can be annoying. But I can't help it. At least playing this has been more interesting than playing Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon, because I didn't really like that game, honestly. I definitely consider it to be pretty overrated. At least it's better than 6, but that's obviously because Blood Dragon was made when Ubisoft wasn't such shit, but I definitely really like the gameplay loop of it. It feels very much limited compared to what Far Cry 3 already offered. I don't even think that Far Cry Primal felt in that way. I mean, obviously, yeah, there's no guns in it in the sense that you can use, like, rifles and shit, but I think it certainly offered more than enough despite it being the spin-off game to Far Cry 4. And even Far Cry 5 New Dawn basically being a standalone sequel, like with Doom 3 and Resurrection of Evil, which doesn't have the best writing in the world, but at least it made you keep going back, I guess. I can't really see myself going back to Blood Dragon. Yeah, that's the thing, too. It's like, I've known a really good friend of mine who's basically, like, I simp for Dark Souls 2, even though I'm literally vocal about the things I like and don't like about the game. And even with the changes that really annoy me, there's things that I would prefer to be in other games, and it's why I can tolerate them more. The only reason I probably prefer playing Scholar is because of the increased player count. It also really sucks that you can't play the original version on modern systems. You're basically stuck with Scholar unless you're playing the PC version. Because, well, it's the PC version. Scholar is basically like what the Master Quest is for the Zelda games, but not really that well designed, honestly. There are some changes that are welcomed, I guess, but it definitely is blatant cash grab on making the games as hard as possible, even though Dark Souls 1 was kind of guilty of that. The people blame Bandai Namco for it. I think it's fucking dumb, but whatever. And also considering how many fucking IPs are being resurrected only to be turned into complete shit. As much as I detest Elden Ring, I really don't want it to end up like those other IPs just for the fans' sake. And I don't say that lightly, too. Too many IPs being restored or brought back from the dead only to be turned to complete shit. And considering Elden Ring pretty much plays a lot like Dark Souls 3, I don't want it to go down that path. I know it sounds extremely hard to swallow, but I just hope that From Software make other games like they did with Armored Core 6 and not just releasing the next big game only to be another Dark Souls game. Also, not to mention, George R.R. Martin basically co-wrote the game, which is funny because he basically took time away from the Hunger Games to write Elden Ring, which is kind of silly if you think about it. Not to mention, too, that even things in Dark Souls 3 or Dark Souls 2, like, people complain about the warping system, which is literally the same thing in Dark Souls 3 and even Bloodborne to a point, since the level design is better. It's like, oh, Dark Souls 2 doesn't have the Lord Vessel, you can just warp between levels or whatever, except you still have to light the bonfire, and it's not that you can go to it right away. Like, I'll agree that the level design in Dark Souls 1 is better compared to 2 and 3, but it doesn't mean that the level design in Dark Souls 2 and 3 would allow it to have the same way it worked in Dark Souls 1. Like, just imagine walking from No Man's Wharf to Hyde's Tower, then back to Majula. Do you really want to do that because you can't warp right away? People would just quit the game if it was designed like that. So they had to make a compromise and they said, fuck it. The people complained because it ruined the level design. The way the level design works in Dark Souls 2 would not allow it to work in the same way it does in Dark Souls 1. It is literally impossible unless they completely rework the level design. Not even just factoring in that the way that Earthfern Peak goes into Iron Keep or whatever, but it's just, they would have to completely rehaul the game to make it work like it does in Dark Souls 1. So, but Bloodborne and even Dark Souls 3 kind of do the same thing, so I don't know why Dark Souls 2 gets the most flack for having that. Like, I legitimately don't understand. I think Bloodborne does it a little bit better, but even then, most areas I don't think connect in the same way that Dark Souls 1 did. Like, I just find it funny that even the people who are biased against Dark Souls 2 are biased against the things that are also in Dark Souls 3 but are in Dark Souls 2. Like, even when you get to Firelink Shrine, the first area you go to is High Wall of Lothric, and guess what? You have to warp there. But what happened in Dark Souls 2? Everyone literally complained about the warping. Like, I just think that's kind of stupid, first of all. Or even other games that have that same thing, like a Dark Side of the City, a game that tried to be Dark Souls but fucking failed miserably. Like, you kind of have to give other games shit for that too if you want to go on about such things. And I don't think it's really worth going on such things. Like, even, what the hell was his name? Was a dude who used to do a lot of interesting GTA videos, and then he complained about some dumb shit. He's also known to be a really big fan of Bully. But he basically complained about how fast travel in open world games like Skyrim and Fallout ruin the world or world building or whatever. It's like, I just think it's fucking stupid. Might as well complain about Blasphemous 03 of all games, letting you warp between retry points. Because all the bonfires are, they're just retry points. They're not checkpoints. They're not checkpoints like with most games. They're literally just retry points. In the sense that when you die, you go back to that spot, hence retry. Also, not to mention, in Dark Souls whatever games, you can literally save and quit at the spot you're at. And if you know how to back up your save in such ways in PC or however, you can literally just reset to enemy positions. It doesn't work in Dark Souls 2 for some reason, which is interesting. But it also doesn't save the health of the enemy, so you can technically even break the design in more ways than one compared to the other games and just have fun with that, I guess. Anyway, I'm going to try playing Modern Warfare 2 one more time. If it doesn't work, then fuck it. I'm going to have to find something else to play. Besides, I gotta keep my rambling tangents going on with the game to just kind of turn my brain off. Or I could be a cell whore and just play Fallout 3, I guess. I mean, I guess I could, but I don't know if I would. I don't know if I have the save backed up in the 360, unfortunately. That is some fucking sweet irony right there. That's probably why Elden Ring has power stancing, now that I think about it. I would imagine it works in the same way, but it's just that all these people who crapped on Dark Souls 2 will love Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne or whatever, or even Sekiro to a point. I'm pretty sure there's been elements in Dark Souls 2 that's been brought in other games, so people don't realize it because they had this hate boner for Dark Souls 2 because someone told them to hate on it, which I think is really stupid for one. But it doesn't look like that Modern Warfare 2 is working, so the Xbox 6 is going to be out for a while, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Another question is what the hell game to play. It's not particularly annoying to play. And also it is not Call of Duty because I do not want to ramble about such things while playing Call of Duty. I guess you do some Crypt of the Necrodancer. I actually really like that game. Yeah, I know it's a roguelite or whatever the hell, but I just like the game, okay? Now let me switch over to the actual scene in question. I'll play as the normal cadence, how you say it. Well, at least if you ever suffer from insomnia, you know what to do. I know insomnia can be a pretty serious issue, but at least if you ever want to go to sleep, you could play it, I guess. At least the gamers are fine in such ways, but it doesn't necessarily make it better by the stretch. It's just that people don't realize that even Dark Souls 3 is accessible, even though people hate accessible games or whatever. But I don't understand. It's like, there's nothing wrong with refining a game to make it better than the others, compared to just like literally dumbing it down to the point that even a baby can play it, like with fighting games now. It's like, magic works like in Demon Souls, which is fine. You have a shop that's in not Firelink Shrine, which I don't know if it's called Firelink Shrine, but whatever. You know, a lot of the systems that were in other games are either removed or simplified to the point that people don't even realize it, which is funny to me. And not to mention that the game in general is just basically an easier version of the other games and having the speed from Bloodborne, which would be fine, except people go on about how these games are insanely hard when, compared to other ones, I think Dark Souls 3 might be one of the easier ones. But then they had to ruin it by having multi-phase boss fights, which is ridiculous. I don't exactly call it innovative, but people think that Dark Souls 1 is, so I guess at the time, sure. Like, I know 2011 was a great year for gaming, but it's also the same year that Saints Row 3 came out. People crapped on it because it wasn't exactly like Saints Row 1 and 2, which I don't want to go into that shit. I actually like the modern Saints Row games. I'm sure the story could have a debate about, but when it comes to pure gameplay, I just prefer playing Saints Row 3. Maybe 4 if I'm feeling in a futuristic mood. I don't know about Modern Warfare 3. The only reason I'm playing Modern Warfare 2 is just for unlocking attachments and split-screen play. I could probably do Black Ops for that particular reason, but I could only really get the most out of it if I were to do private matches without combat training. Which I guess that could be an interesting session, just playing combat training. Or maybe Black Ops 3 on PS4 because of the zombies and shit. I know I played a campaign on both of them because I actually liked it. It's mainly just to progress in games that that I know that I can progress without being one of those online only stuff. Like I know I've done World War II Zombies, which was okay. I gotta work on Infinite Warfare Zombies mode. And Call of Duty Ghosts, which I know I said I was gonna do a while back, but I haven't gotten around to it, but just can't pause that shit. I would literally have to stream it so I can at least have a conversation. Because otherwise I would play it offline to my heart's content, like with Infinite Warfare. But that's just the way that I play it personally. Maybe I could do open lobbies for some games, maybe. I'll have to look into that at some point. Alright, thanks for tuning in and keeping me company. I greatly appreciate it. Wish I had more people like you, honestly. I guess I'll finish this up and I'll maybe try just one more time. So I haven't died yet, though. This game is pretty tricky, but not the most annoying thing in the world. And I got a pretty good run going on. I can also criticize this game, too, quite a bit. I even saw a very interesting video essay, if you want to call it that, on YouTube, so it's pretty good. I'm not against the idea of a roguelike game, I just want the gameplay to be good. It's why I also really like Salt and Sanctuary, but I've already completed it on the other versions, so it'd be kind of pointless. Plus, as I have online play, I'm like Salt and Sacrifice. I gotta get around to that. Crap. Alright. Alright, the blood rapier. I got the shovel. Oh, enough. Okay. Well, I should be fine. As long as I don't die to bullshit, I should be fine. But yeah, I really like this game. It's, I really enjoy it for what it is. I just wish the Xbox version was more updated compared to the other versions of the game. Oh shit, it's the bull fucker. There we go. Alright, let's go. Crap. Shit. Yeah, I'm fucked now. Crap. No. Oh, come on. Fuck. Alright, whatever. Yeah, it's, I should have went with the other weapon. Oh, well. But yeah, I'll try this one more time. I really want to get them weapon attachments. I really, really want to get it. I'll just, like, turn off console, I guess, and I'll come back in a minute. Alright, do we finally have liftoff? It looks like we do. Let's get right into a game, because last time it did not, so... Let's end it with what I was going to do when I started this shit. That's what I like to see. There we go. Alright. Fuck, no attachments on this? That's lame. Oh well. I should be fine for, Actually, no, I don't want to use that if I don't have the attachments, since I believe I have the other one. So I'll switch to MG4 for now. Is that the clan tag say vote? Well, that's not totally suspicious at all. Oh. But yeah, I figured I wanted to end it on a good note, so I'm playing this for now. At least I finally got it to work, I think, so... He blew himself up. Or she. They. Oh well. Ow. Not even the Kimbo Desert Eagles could save me. Oh well. But yeah, I definitely gotta slap the other attachments on those. I don't know why I did not do that. I probably should have done that before. This person's using C4 and is getting a lot of kills. I can't even see where this person is, so that's nice. Got the most excellent position in the world. That's very nice to see. No hit marker's amazing. Oh, good. The best thing in the game, which will now be repeatedly shot down. Oh, you son of a bitch! Are you actually kidding me? Oh well. I guess it's gone now. Well, shit. Alright, back to the Og bar. Ah! Screw you. I think that dude, like, legitimately shot the corner because they thought it was an enemy. I'm gonna guess that's what just happened. Rats. Oh well. Alright, time to slap those attachments on ASAP. And I somehow still died a lot more than other people. Oh, Jesus Christ, not this level. Well... Yeah, I played it last time. I'm not playing it this time. I'm sorry. I refuse to play shitty levels. Shitty controls. Okay, that one, and I gotta slap the red dot silencer on that. Okay. Okay, good. Vote passed. Okay, good. Quarry. I can handle Quarry. Quarry's fine. Alright, so I have no kills of that. I need quite a bit more of this. And I'm not even close to getting that, so I'm gonna go ahead and start doing those. Maybe focus a little bit on the RPD. And hopefully have a good time, I guess. Alright, time to make amends to last time. Alright. Seriously, nobody else could bother to capture the first point. That's sad. Alright, let's just go. Ah, jeez. Actually scared me for a second. Two dudes looking at each other. Not totally gay at all. And I got shot for making a comment that would piss people off. Fair enough. And unfortunately no cheesy bullshit, but oh well. Epic Kill Cam. That's quite the username. It's just too bad we're not in 2009 anymore. Oh well. Oh, he actually killed him. Oh, what the fuck? Alright. Holy shit, this thing fires fast. I forgot. Well, I know what my loadout's going to be for next session. ACOG and Silencer. Ow. I should switch to a different weapon, I think. It's not really making much progress with this. Until now. Oh, a headshot. Nice. Can you imagine if you could put rapid fire on this thing? It would be ridiculous. It would be ridiculous. Fuck. But yeah, the reason I don't really get too mad at this is just because I just don't think it's worth getting annoyed at this, like with most people, honestly. Like, when I play something like Neo, I get really annoyed because it's just the game design, but when you're playing against some random people, it's kind of a different philosophy, I guess. I know it sounds extremely backwards, but whatever. At least I made some good progress on Senran Kagura, though, so I'll definitely have to finish up those missions and hopefully platinum the game and probably be done with it, and I'll play the PC version forever and ever and ever. I probably should start shutting out the Switch, though. Ow. One for the books. And then just silence on the shotgun really makes me miss the Quantum Assaults that had a auto-fire shotgun that was massively overpowered but was really fun to use. Oh. Well, I guess the DPS beat me. Can't complain about that. Somebody died. Alright, I gotta start getting more kills of this thing, because I want to get the LMGs done as much as I want to run around a shotgun. There we go. Ah! That's bullshit. Alright. Fuck. Definitely should have been paying attention for that one. I just haven't run into Dr. Spank in a while. But I haven't played this off stream, so that's probably why. Though the games on 360 just legit do not work for some reason, which is really annoying. I would kind of like to finish up San Andreas in some capacity. At least maybe do the casino missions or some shit. Phenomenal. Wow. Alright. Awesome. But he was using my weapon. I just want to see if Borderlands 2 would be ideal to stream, I guess. The only problem is like actually getting the weapon or character level up or whatever. I'll probably look into that at some point. Oh, it was a headshot? No fucking way. I don't believe that for a second. Oh, what the fuck? Okay. Well, they're still winning, so, and the whoopings haven't been too harsh, so I guess that's good. Alright then, that was a decent match. Probably my worst performance so far. Shrikoslav. It's funny. Most headshots. Stutter! Stutter! Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and see how much progress I made. Probably not a lot. Oh, it's actually not too bad. Let me slap the... Oh, I don't have those unlocked yet. Fuck. Might as well put Urban on since I unlocked it. So it's literally still kind of prefer the other one, to be honest. Okay, I have digital for that. I have digital for this. I definitely gotta get headshots with this. I'm gonna have to actually use this. I'm gonna use this for next game. I'm gonna use the I'm not playing Elden Ring class of this shit. I really want my damn digital camo for this, damn it. And it looks like it's about midnight, so I'm gonna probably do a couple more games and I'm gonna get off for tonight. Don't have much to do in the morning, but I'm still gonna have to do things that aren't exactly gaming pleasant like, but it is of no matter. I gotta figure out what drive keeps disconnecting, because for some reason I see the thing disconnect, so I'm gonna have to like rewire these, I think. Okay, if I can at least get 2 headshots, I'll be happy. And then I'll use whatever primaries I need headshots for, I guess, and I can have fun with that shit. I'll be playing like the most lamest way possible, but if it means I can get a couple extra skins I actually like, then I guess I can lay out for a while. Toyota Corolla, is that the name of a fucking car company? Fuck. No, that wasn't a headshot. What the fuck? Oh, well. It wasn't a headshot, man. Oh. Well, at least he saved me, so I'll be happy about that. Wow. Phenomenal. The Moab. Call it Moab, actually. Moab sounds dumb. Like your mom. Lol. Oh, Jesus. Speaking of dumb. There we go. Doesn't suck, GM. Still need headshots though, so that's kind of not fun. That wasn't a headshot. Oh my god. Like, I get more annoyed at that than most things that people be fuming over, honestly. Especially when it's like really, should be really easy by design, but in reality is a little annoying. It wasn't a headshot. Amazing. Okay, I'll stop. It's gonna be a little annoying if I do that. Still. Awesome. Ow. The pave... Okay. Ha! Your prone tactics didn't work on me that time. It'll work every other time, but 60% of the time, it works every time. I like how none of those shots made me get headshots, lol. But okay, let me get a little more serious, because I'm kind of getting a little goofy now. And that's kind of why I've been screwing up a lot. It would have been past halftime if this was World War II. We're basically in World War III right now. We're not getting into that shit. Not even gonna get into it. I have a feeling someone's gonna try to use a nuke, though. I have a pretty good feeling it's gonna be the Rover Soup dude. Because there is no way one does not just get 32 kills with barely any deaths. At least that's my conclusion, anyway. He's even using a rocket launcher. What bullshit is this? Rico Suave. That bit from Beavis and Butthead was hilarious. I don't think I got any headshots at all. Not one. I'm mad at myself. Not even one. I probably couldn't even get one by accident if I even tried. Somebody blew themselves up with their own grenade. Is it a failed martyrdom? Oh! Well, I got an assist, but not headshots, so that's no bueno. He's head glitching. I don't even know what that is, but I saw somebody say it, so he must be head glitching. Ooh! much. Yeah, we're gonna lose, so might as well just empty my load into a barrel of bullshit. Not even a headshot. Not even one. I just wanted one, damn it. Maybe two. But you only get one. I counted. Not one headshot. And I died a lot of times. But at least there was no nukes, so I'm happy. Except for the part with no, headshots. Makes me very sad. Just one. Just one. Not even one. Sad. I think I just saw it too. I think it's the J drive. Yeah, it is the J drive. The fucking PlayStation one. So I gotta fucking rewire that. Whoops. I think I unplugged one of the other ones. Yeah, it is the J drive. Fuck. Oh, good, Afghan. Afghan. There we go. Yeah, that's the one that's, like, legitimately causing problems, so I'll have to rewire that. So I'll just leave it unplugged for a while. Gay. Alright. Alright, well, win or lose, this will be my last attempt at trying to get headshots. If not, it's going to have to wait till the next time I play this. So, there you go. Got Break and Banquet videos to catch up on. Other shenanigans that need doing. Other games I could be playing, but I don't know. But, like I said, I'll look into them soon. Gotta grind in Neo 2 because, well, the game is interesting, I guess. But amazing. Okay. Wow. But yeah, I'll probably do Black Ops 1 online multiplayer only because at least I can get some benefit in playing it. And that's if I even get the rewards for doing it at all. Thank you. I got one. I just gotta get one more. I'll be happy. And I can move on to other weapons, I guess. So I'll use the other weapon. I see your bullshit auto-aim game. Be quiet. Not a headshot. Bollocks. At least I got sleight of hand, so I can kind of make it reload a little faster. I guess it's actually Modern Warfare 3. I could try doing the Spec Ops missions, because I already raised the max level. It's just a matter of actually playing them, so I guess I could try doing that at some point. Fucker. It's one of those players, huh? Got a headshot. Got a slug shot. Nice. Huh. Stuck you with subtext and blocked your TI. That's a little TMI. Ugh. I just need one more, and it's not even halftime. Come on. Somebody just died. At least it wasn't me. Yet. Fuck. Me and my big mouth. Oh shit. Yeah, also the analog stick is kind of low-key worn out, so I'm gonna have to retire for the night. You see my character like stopping forward a bit, it's because the fucking analog stick on this is shit. Not even a headshot, not even one, and it was a fucking dude with a shotgun. Amazing, amazing. Ow. Well, at least if I'm not getting headshots, at least I'm getting close to the ACOG, so I guess I'm technically not losing progress, but I still want my damn skin. So. And I'm going to get it. One way or another. Because that's what Johnny C. do. The fuck? Ow. Oh well. At least it's just about halftime, so that's good. Fucker. Well, it's got a Desert Eagle kill, so one more for, one step closer to Tactical Neck, I guess. I really gotta start using secondaries, honestly. There's a lot of secondary weapons you can use at Kembo 4, and it makes this game a little more interesting, I guess. What the fuck? I legit gotta look back at that. Like, what the fuck? Did those stun grenades just, like, hit each other or some shit? Wow. Fuck you. Oh, you died. Good. Cheeky bastard. Oh, my plan would have worked if I wasn't being stupid. Oh well. Oh well. Yeah, let's gonna get it spawned, so fuck it. Ow! That was an assist. Oh my god, you gotta aim better. Okay. Like, I really fucking care about my aim, honestly. Oh. You host. And just when I'm downed, too. Amazing. It'd be funny if I was picked as the host. So many Carfax. That was bullshit. Well, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get the attach in this game. Or scan, whatever. Fucking bollocks. Oh well. Well, that was fun. Well, it lasted at least. I didn't get the headshot, but at least I got to play it, so that's good. It was fun, but now I got other things that need doing, so I'm gonna go do them, and hopefully next time I can get it. So,